Chapter 421. Broken Ones 3. Goo. The entire heaven-earth palace shatters, and the surrounding flying immortal platforms simultaneously crumble. Beneath the flying immortal platforms, the void spirit pawns begin to reveal their subtle forms. It's a scene reminiscent of when Hun Wen used the Great Mountain-Splitting Emperor technique nearby. However, there is one key difference. Hun Wen used the divine power of the Great Mountain-Splitting Emperor technique, while I simply grabbed Hun Wen by the face and slammed him down. "You bastard," he growls, beginning to gather power. Spatial waves reverberate from within his body, and gradually, his size starts to swell. Hun Wen reveals his true form. Due to the mass, I'm momentarily pushed back, rising into the sky. Goo. In the next instant, he becomes a mountain. Rocks, soil, and trees sprout from his body. Streams and creeks emerge from his form, with veins of minerals buried in its depths. Deeper within, lava bubbles up as a colossal mountain soars. The mountain imbued with the 5 elements transforms into a giant, glaring at me. This mountain giant is Hun Wen's true form. Integrated Dao Domain. Great Mountain Great Dust Chariot Tearing Wind Bird Tai Shan Da Shean Che Lai Feng Now. TLN. Chariot tearing chariot dismemberment is also known as dismemberment by 5 horses, an ancient Chinese death penalty where a person's 4 limbs and neck are tied to chariot's horses and pulled apart. Goo. His body transforms into a domain, and at the same time, his domain begins to engulf the surroundings. Hun Wen's domain is a desolate island. Within his domain, countless islands float in the void. In that void, countless dust storms rage, turning into sharp blade winds that shred everything excluding Hun Wen. Rising from the center of these dust-bladed gales, the mountain giant exudes a fierce momentum towards me. "Let's settle the score that we couldn't before, Xiao Unyun. If you want to deal with me, you'll have to step over my corpse." And in the next moment, quack-a-quang, with a single strike, Hun Wen's upper body explodes and is sent flying, while the shockwave from my punch obliterates his entire domain in an instant. "You seem to be under some kind of delusion." I glare at Hun Wen, my eyes blazing, as I move at an extremely high speed. "You won't last even 10 moves against me now, Hun Wen." Without revealing my true form or drawing the colorless glass sword or my domain, I simply let the 3 great ultimates float behind me. That was the first move. Boong. I move above Hun Wen's head, bend my legs, and then forcefully stomp down, smashing into his regenerating stomach. Rumble. Second move. Hun Wen's body is completely pierced through, and the shockwave from the impact slices through various parts of the domain. He uses the flying escape technique and unleashes the full power of heaven and earth dual cultivation within the light to counter me. Our bodies collide. Third, fourth. After 2 clashes, both of Hun Wen's fists are severed, and his upper body is once again greatly slashed. The way to subdue those in the integration stage is to smash their domain to pieces. For the Heaven tribe, you destroy the domain. For the Earth tribe, you destroy the domain and the body that is fused with it, and the Grand Cultivator dies. But what about Heaven and Earth dual cultivation? How troublesome. In the case of these guys, even if you slice through their domain regenerates as long as their body remains. If you cut through their body, as long as the domain is intact, they resurrect. Both the domain fused with the body and the manifested domain have to be eliminated simultaneously. Quite a hassle, but that's all there is to it. 5th, 6th, 7th. With the first strike, his domain. With the second, his body. With the third, I attack his soul and subdue him completely. You bastard. However, perhaps not a complete waste even if rotten, the bastard quickly covers the entire surrounding area with the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements. His will is to blast the area around him with the Great Mountain-Splitting Emperor technique. But it's useless. I grip a black banner in my hand. Wriggle, gurgle. This isn't just any banner. From the shadows of the banner's reverse side, pitch black, eye-like things squirm, and terrifying entities within seem desperate to escape. Wriggle, wriggle. The object in my hand continuously squirms, trying to grow. If I plant this, he'll probably die. The Yin Soul Ghost incantation, which instinctively expresses my rotting, decayed insides, has long since surpassed its limits. Pain and agony so condensed that even my heart demons wail for escape. That is the current Yin Soul Ghost incantation. If I stab Hun Wen with this, no matter how strong an integration Grand Cultivator he is, it's certain he will fall into madness with his soul evaporating. I dare say, even Sacred Master Baek Woon wouldn't remain sane if hit directly by this. Let's tone it down a bit. TSTSTSTST. After draining a significant amount of venom from the banner, I plunged the now hollowed black ghost curse banner straight into Hun Won's chest. Kook, and that's the end of it. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Hun Won, who intended to detonate the area with the great mountain-splitting emperor technique, starts trembling violently, unable to even scream. As his focus scatters, his domain disintegrates, and he returns to his human form. Shoo, fearing that leaving the black ghost curse banner in him any longer would drive Hun Won mad, I disperse it. However, the phantom pain seems to linger, tormenting him as he foams at the mouth, tears of blood streaming from his eyes. Pock, pock, I slap Hun Won's cheek. 8th, 9th, pack, 10th move, Kahayak, Gu Guffo, Eoghh. Only then does Hun Won come to his senses and groan in pain. I look down at him and chuckle softly. 10 moves. Do you understand? That's already the difference between you and me. Quote. I look down at him. He clenches his teeth and speaks. Quote. What's with this bullshit, you bastard? You don't even like me. Whether I live or die, what does that have to do with you? Did my provocation irritate you? Are you acting like this because something scratched your nerves? Just why won't you leave me alone? Why? Quote. I quietly look down at his outburst. After raging for 5 seconds, he exhales and begins to speak. Quote. Do you think I didn't want to live with hopes and dreams like everyone else? I wanted to have something called hope in my life too. But, after witnessing my lover being devoured alive, I had no idea what to do anymore. Even if I live, I'm not truly alive. So why are you doing this to me? Quote. I don't intend to argue with someone like you either. Whether you live or die isn't my concern, and I'd be glad if you did die. I'm well aware it's pointless to keep telling people who want to die to live thousands of times over. Then why? The part that enrages me is your irresponsibility. I gaze down at him with eyes as cold as ice and spit out my words as if I'm chewing them. Aren't you a father? Even if they were born from concubines, how many children do you have? How many people follow you? A man burdened with the weight of a group on his shoulders shouldn't irresponsibly and meaninglessly abandon everything just because he's in pain. Bang! I stomp on Hun Won's chest. He coughs up blood. Knowing he would regenerate anyway, I mercilessly stomp on him again and again, grinding my teeth. And as I speak those words, I begin to understand why I am suddenly so angry with Hun Won. No matter how much he said things that deserved my anger, and no matter how much he provoked me, the reason why my rage surged and driven me to torture him so suddenly. Perhaps it's because I see myself reflected in this bastard. When he mentioned the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, what came to my mind was Yi Wei. Yi Wei and Hun Won. And the inner emotions of Yi Wei that I saw in Penglai Island. She claims to hate Hun Won with her words, but deep inside, there is still a longing for him. And when I remembered that, someone else came to mind. Hun Wei, who spent her entire life desperately seeking Hun Won's attention, and her siblings. Hun Won's children, the disciples of Penglai Palace who follow him. Even if Hun Won himself doesn't realize it, he is someone who is loved. He is someone who is noticed, revered, and respected. And in him, I see a reflection of myself. The one I am trampling on is not just Hun Won. Perhaps, I am taking out my anger on him because I am reminded of my past self, someone who was loved and revered by countless people but failed to protect that. Move, for the sake of those who care about you. Even if the end is inevitable, don't give up. I direct my anger towards both Hun Won and myself. He remains silent, and I, seeing that he still seems listless, toss him a suggestion. It's not perfect, but if you really want it, there's a way for you to see the face of the person you loved. Get up and at least just help. Quote. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. At my words, his eyes change, and he suddenly grabs my shoulder. Quote. WWH what do you mean? There's something called the wonderfully mysterious fortress that can be used. Get your hand off my shoulder. I'll explain later. I push Hun Won away and look at Kong Min Hee, who is now almost within reach. Seo Weol, ho ho, to what do I owe the pleasure, Taoist Seo? Take this guy and fly to the skies above the bright cold realm. Aha, I understand what you mean. He approaches Hun Won, coaxing and calming him as they both fly up into the sky above the bright cold realm according to my request. And I wait for Kong Min Hee on the now completely ruined flying immortal platform, where the original form of the void spirit pond is fully exposed. Coo goo 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 goo. Ghostly wails fill heaven and earth as she finally arrives at this place. Deep darkness. Crackle, crackle. Within that deep darkness, I immediately identify Kong Minhee's location. Compared to the darkness I saw when the oldest one was chasing me during that regression process, the darkness surrounding her is quite distinguishable. Keying. After charging up a single strike in the All Heaven's Sword, I launch it directly at Kong Minhee. Flash. The All Heaven's Sword, transformed into a thin line, shoots towards Kong Minhee at the speed of light, and just before reaching her, it strikes something like a barrier. As expected, I can't penetrate it in one go. She stops and stares at me intently. I meet her gaze and smile faintly. Caught. The All Heaven's Sword, lodged in front of her, begins to shine and transforms into a seated detachment, Standing Oblivion Avatar. Through the Standing Oblivion Avatar, I launch another single strike at her once again right in front of her face. The Avatar, lacking energy, morphs into a gang sphere. Quagwang wang wang. Her upper body explodes, and in that brief moment when she can't regain her senses, Hun Wan, who rose up with Xiao Wei'ol, covers the entire area with the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements at Xiao Wei'ol's command. Is this how it was done? I clasp my hands together and focus my consciousness, silently reciting the formula of the twisted mantra without connecting with them through attraction force. I simultaneously start to use the mantra that they taught me. The location where the Standing Oblivion Avatar struck Kong Minhee. The gang sphere clone that remains there. Centered around that gang sphere clone, the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements begins to close in. Though it's far from being a true immortal art, its form is close enough. Phenomena extinguishing mantra. Coo goo 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 goo. The barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements that covers the area begins to constrict around the gang sphere before Kong Minhee. Though the mantra is twisted, its effectiveness is undeniable. The density of heaven and earth spiritual energy within the barrier begins to increase, filling the surroundings with light. Ah! Kong Minhee lets out a ghostly wail, attempting to shatter this prison that has now turned into a prison of light, but it's futile. No matter how powerful she is, even she can't break the barrier that was created by enduring my disgust to combine strengths with Hun Wan. Before long, the barrier gradually shrinks smaller and smaller until it's narrower than the range I occupy, finally forming a sphere that imprisons only Kong Minhee. Of course, that's the limit. I can't make it as smaller than dust, like what I saw back then. This is my own limitation. Wing. Before the phenomena extinguishing mantra sphere can dissolve, I immediately summon the 3 great ultimates and charge in, forcefully smashing the sphere containing Kong Minhee down towards the void spirit pond. Kugwagwagwagwang. A tremendous resistance is felt from within. It feels like she's about to burst out in an instant, but she's an instant too late. She has already been expelled through the void spirit pond. Of course, it's impossible to block the void spirit pond, so she will eventually return. But for at least a month, she shouldn't be able to climb back up, dealing with the vestiges of the interdimensional void. See you later, Kong Minhee. I look down, trying to calm the goosebumps that have risen from my disgust. I really didn't want to use it. Even though the twisted phenomena extinguishing mantra doesn't form an attraction force with the owner of Great Mountain, it still touches upon my most painful memories. But there was no other choice. Just as I shouted at Hun Wan just moments ago, with Penglai Palace weighing on his shoulders. Now, I have my remaining comrades weighing on mine. I had to stop Kong Minhee, no matter what. If it's just my own disgust that's the problem, I'll ignore it as many times as necessary. No matter how agonizing and painful the memory is, I will bring it out and use it. If that is the means to protect the deceased followers of the Wuji religious order. And to protect the comrades who are still alive. Splendid, Taoist Xiao, shut up. I glare at Xiao Wei'ol and Hun Wan as they descend from the sky. From now on, we're going to regroup with my comrades and head to the Mad Lord. In the meantime, explain in detail the method you mentioned to bring the Mad Lord back to his senses. Understood. I'll explain as we go. First, and so, after temporarily driving away Kong Minhee, we set off toward the Mad Lord Zhou Yian. Chapter 422. What does a person live for? 1. Yoo. Moving quickly across the bright cold realm, I connect my consciousness with Kim Yian. Since Kim Yian and I are linked through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, it's possible to communicate in the case of an emergency. What's the current situation? Through her consciousness, I receive an explanation that the Nether Crossing ship is gathering power to perform a dimensional leap into the Heart Tribe territory. To safely perform a dimensional leap to the Chaos Realm region, even the power source of the Nether Crossing ship, which possesses near limitless power, needs some time to accumulate energy. Though it's called the Chaos Realm, it's essentially a different dimension, completely distinct from the stable realm within the bright cold realm. Beyond being desolate, the further one moves away from the stable realm, the more constant the spatial storms become, and terrifying celestial phenomena start to occur frequently. That is the Chaos Realm. The Heart Tribe territory lies deep within this Chaos Realm region, which is why their main stronghold has not yet been eradicated. It's no wonder that the two cultivators from the Heaven Tribe were angered when Guillaume mentioned that there was something they desired within the Heart Tribe territory. It isn't just the issue of encountering a master from the Heart Tribe. It's also the fact that it takes an enormous amount of time just to reach that location. Since it's come to this, I might as well use the power of the Nether Crossing ship and push Kong Minhee into the Astral Realm with the Mad Lord. The Mad Lord will surely know how to draw out even more of the Nether Crossing ship's power. Where is Mad Lord currently? I ask Co Weo. Through tainted soul filling the heavens, he would know Mad Lord's location more accurately than I would. It seems he's currently waiting in the eastern part of the Earth Tribe territory, gathering materials. The eastern part of the Earth Tribe territory. The Earth Tribe territory is largely divided into east and west. In the west is the main headquarters of the True Dragon Alliance, where the corpse of Lofty Dragon True Person lies. In the east is an endless wilderness, largely undeveloped, where all sorts of demon beasts live freely. It's my first time going to the wilderness region. Even if I ask Co Whale to guide me, the guy's blind right now, so while he can pinpoint the Mad Lord's location, proper guidance is impossible. I glance backwards. There, Hun-Won is following me with eyes wide open. Look here, Hun-Won. Have you ever been to the wilderness in the eastern part of Earth Tribe territory? I have. Then lead the way. We're heading there soon. Why do you want to go there? There's someone we need to persuade there. He furrows his brows and says. If you need me to guide you, it's probably better not to go. What do you mean by that now? That'll. Kurlug. Hun-Won tries to speak but instead coughs up a handful of blood. Damn, now that I've left Heaven Earth Palace, the seizures have begun. It's the yin seizing, yang suppressing, yin duo yang fu, secret art of the Taiji quaking lightning body. It's a curse that forces the yin energy to deviate from its path and forcibly suppresses the yang energy to cause an explosion. Jin Wei, that evil thing, cast that curse on me 40,000 years ago using the divine artifact, calendar calculations, from the Yin Soul Ghost sect. As a result, I've been suffering from this curse for 40,000 long years, while Jin Wei's advancement to the integration stage was blocked, and the divine artifact was sent flying into a distant alternate dimension. Quote. As I watch Hun-Won speak, I suddenly ask him a question. Hun-Won, do you, Yin Wei? I mean, do you have any thoughts about Jin Wei? He furrows his brows and responds. What thoughts should I have? It was just a political marriage from the start. I had no feelings for it. The only one I gave my heart to was her. His eyes become distant, as if recalling something. Do you not have any memories of receiving something from Jin Wei? He snorts at my question. From that thing. I remember the venomous words like saying Qian Ra is not real, to not cling to illusions like a fool, and having my eyes gouged out. He grinds his teeth, his eyes a sharp piercing glare. That thing has always taken something from me. My Qian Ra, my cultivation, my eyes. You ask if I got anything. I received nothing but pain. Quote. I observe Hun-Won for a moment. His emotions aren't lying. He genuinely only has bad memories of Yin Wei. However, I find it strange. No matter what, before the entity called Qian Ra appeared, Yin Wei was incredibly devoted to Hun-Won. Even when she caused so much chaos in the ancient force realm, at least half of it was for Hun-Won's sake when I asked her later. And yet, he only has bad memories of Yin Wei. What does that imply? His memories have been completely distorted. That's right. Currently, due to the influence of Qian Ra, his memories have become significantly warped and twisted. I have already seen people from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect being brainwashed for years by Zhengli, obsessing over banners, and I even have memories of myself being brainwashed by Young Song. Hence, the possibility that Hun-Won has been entangled with a being of at least true immortal rank and brainwashed is entirely plausible. At the beginning of the 19th cycle, the power and aura I felt from the name Qian Ra within Hun-Won were chillingly similar to that of the owner of Great Mountain. There are some differences, but Hun-Won might have been living his entire life as a puppet under the control of the owner of Great Mountain. I wonder if Hun One's mind will ever be healed. Will he ever be able to escape from the clutches of that tyrannical and arrogant being? I silently hope that, at least for Yi and Wei's sake, Hun One can be cured someday. With that, I end the conversation and quickly fly on. Wu Wang, Kugugugugu. In just half a day, I arrive at the wilderness region within the Earth Tribe territory. Now that all my comrades have gathered, let's go to the Mad Lord. I tell Hun One to guide us, and he leads us toward the wilderness region. Xiao Weiol, seemingly puzzled, asks me a question. By the way, Taoist Xiao, didn't you say we would be joining up with your comrades? He looks around. I don't detect any of your comrades in my consciousness. We've met up. You don't need to know the details, so just explain in more detail how we're going to awaken the Mad Lord's mind. As we move, I take the time to link my consciousness even more closely with Kim Yian. Through her wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, Kim Yian connected her consciousness with the other comrades. As a result, although our bodies are apart, it's as if we are all moving together in the plane of soul. If necessary, I can even use the power of the All-Heavens Sword to summon the strength of my comrades here. Ho ho, well, if Taoist says so, then let me explain in more detail. First, we will enter the Mad Lord's mind through his wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Afterwards, using my Madam's ability, we'll retrieve the Mad Lord's past memories. Finally, with my tainted soul filling the heavens, I'll paint over a specific scene from the Mad Lord's past memories, which will temporarily bring him back to his senses. Of course, it will only be for a short while. What do I need to do? All you need to do, Taoist Xiao, is hold on to the Mad Lord while we enter his mind. Got it. I nod and accept his suggestion. Shortly after, in the distance, a familiar fortress begins to appear. Ho ho. Now then, as planned, Taoist Hun will deal with the puppets of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Taoist Xiao will handle her and the Mad Lord, and my madam and I, along with your comrade, will infiltrate the Mad Lord's mind. But before Xiao Weiol can finish his sentence, a massive beam of light shoots towards us from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. .. I open my eyes wide as I see the beam and reach out my hand to deflect it. Kugwagwagwagwang. ... I furrow my brow as I look at my hand. It's tingling. This power is definitely something I have experienced before. A power similar to that of Yuk Rin, the dragon race's breath. Dragon wave. With a hardened expression, I gaze at the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Kug-goo-goo-goo. Countless puppets begin to emerge from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Among them, I notice two particularly powerful presences that make me tense up. Who he Who do we have here? Isn't this our Scorpion Snake King? For what reason has the great Scorpion Snake King descended before me? And who's this beside you? Isn't this the kidnapper who took our cute little disciple? Behind the two puppets, the Mad Lord emerges. Xiao Weiol, standing next to her, has a slightly dumbfounded expression as he sees another puppet emitting an aura similar to her. What the? Ho, old man, for now. Alright, you Xiao fellows. I'll make both of you into General Xiao. I'm thinking of making a puppet with two heads. One with a Xiao fellow on the left, and another with a Xiao fellow embedded on the right. Wouldn't that be something? He laughs maniacally as he returns to the wonderfully mysterious fortress, and the two puppets with exceptionally powerful auras begin to move. One is the her that we all know well, and the other is the Black Dragon King Hyonium. This is clearly the same monster that once fused with the extremities of an esteemed one's body, demonstrating abilities close to those of immortal arts. There is a high probability that he is also connected in some way to the Blood Yin realm. The human form Hyonium, upon receiving a command from the wonderfully mysterious fortress, instantly releases its compressed body and transforms into a dragon form puppet. The Mad Lord's excited voice echoes. Yes, I've decided. Once I capture the Xiao fellows, I'll combine them with the Black Lord, and create a great three-headed General Xiao, with the ability to transform into a giant dragon. Clink. Puppet Hyonium's mouth opens, unleashing an overwhelming amount of yin energy from within. Flash. Once again, its dragon wave flies towards me, and I grit my teeth as I deflect it once more. Tingle. The power has gotten stronger. Hey, Xiao Weiol, was this Hyonium fellow always so weak that he could be captured by the Mad Lord? Recalling the time when Hyonium fused with an esteemed one of the Blood Yin realm, I ask Xiao Weiol. He shakes his head and replies. It seems he abandoned his shell and escaped. Anyway, being able to revive in the body of another dragon race with even superior attributes as long as his information is intact, that is the one known as Hyonium. Quote. Something about that statement clicks in my mind. Revive with even better attributes. As time passes, the secret art that gradually grows stronger and more superior as it progresses from cultivator to cultivator. Purple soul filling the heavens. As expected, could Hyonium also be practicing it? It seems likely he escaped using purple soul filling the heavens after failing to fight off the Mad Lord. But Whale, this guy. I glance at Whale and ponder. He's smiling, but his expression is unusually shaky. I sense wariness from the trembling he displayed. Is he wary of the Mad Lord? No, it's different. This is more like. Then suddenly, as I strike down the approaching puppet Hyonium, I realize what Whale is wary of. I see. The formula for purple soul filling the heavens is still there inside puppet Hyonium. I don't know if it was left by the Mad Lord or left by Hyonium, but it's clear that Whale is wary of purple soul filling the heavens. Only now do I understand why the Mad Lord suddenly decided to capture and modify Hyonium in this life. It's because of the information I gave the Mad Lord. The information about Whale's tainted soul filling the heavens. The Mad Lord, likely in his search for a way to counter Whale's tainted soul filling the heavens, encountered Hyonium, sensed the purple soul filling the heavens within him, and believed it's the method to oppose Whale's tainted soul filling the heavens. As a result, he modified Hyonium into his puppet and confidently brought him out in front of Whale, with the intention of merging Whale with Hyonium. No, his plan to modify Whale and I into a great three-headed General might just be a matter of personal taste. In any case, I examine puppet Hyonium with bright eyes. Against Whale, purple soul filling the heavens might unexpectedly prove effective. On the day the alliance is broken, that will be the day when I force purple soul filling the heavens under Whale's throat. As I face off against the puppet Hyonium, I suppress the all-heavens sword's sharp energy and strike its head with a heavy blow. Quagwagwawong. Under the power of the three great ultimates, puppet Hyonium is driven straight into the ground. Fortunately, the level of the controller is low. I look at Hyonium and her. The liquid flowing inside him. It's the black water that resided in Hyonium's domain, and in her heart is the power source of the nether crossing ship. The black seawater and the power source resonate with each other, gradually increasing in power. If the fight would stall for longer, or if the Mad Lord's cultivation realm were higher, making him more adept at controlling the two puppets, I might have faced a much tougher battle. Pot. In the blink of an eye. I leap over her and infiltrate the wonderfully mysterious fortress, grabbing the Mad Lord by the head. The Mad Lord's expression twists in rage, but I swiftly use the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon to link my consciousness with Kim Yeon's, and combining our strengths, Kim Yeon and I infiltrate the Mad Lord's consciousness. Your turn, Whale. I take measures to prevent Whale from invading Kim Yeon's consciousness and connect his consciousness with mine using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Ho, well then, let's temporarily erase the most terrifying memory that serves as the cause of the Mad Lord's madness. TSSTSSTs. He connects to the Mad Lord's consciousness through mine. Beyond Whale, I can sense the aura of Ohio through the tainted soul filling the heavens. Sarek, the sound of pages flipping in reverse. Finally, Whale, Kim Yeon, Ohio, and I enter the memories of the Mad Lord. Translator notes. Starting from tomorrow, and if no problems occur after today's testing, we will be releasing a subscription option for RTOC. Make sure to check it out before habitually purchasing a chapter. Chapter 423. What does a person live for too? Chuararara. With Kim Yeon and my abilities, we connect to the Mad Lord's consciousness and, using Ohio power, call forth his past memories from within. Whale seems to know exactly which memory is the most painful for the Mad Lord, as he quickly flies through his memories to that point. After a while, we find ourselves confronted with a certain scene. Yes, there is a next time. Let's wait until then. A dark secret room. Yes, it seems to be deep within a cave residence. This isn't the first time I've seen someone's memories. Occasionally, while placing a seated detachment, standing oblivion single strike into others, I've glimpsed fragments of their memories. For instance, even when I implanted the All-Heavens sword into the Mad Lord's heart essence during the 19th cycle, I caught a very brief glimpse of his memories. It was also then that Whale slyly hinted at some information about his tainted soul filling the heavens. In any case, when peeking into someone's memories, in the case of mortals, the memory perspective is mostly in first person. However, in the case of cultivators, due to their consciousness domains, their memories are composed of everything perceived within it. Thus, the memories of cultivators are predominantly in the observer perspective. To be precise, the memories of cultivators are a mixture of first-person and third-person perspectives. Therefore, in the Mad Lord's memories, I am able to observe what he was doing as I peek into his recollections. Definitely, next time, I will definitely be with her. In his youth, the Mad Lord, bearing a six-colored pattern on his face, makes such a vow, swallowing an unidentified pill and closing his eyes to focus on his cultivation. As he practices for a while after taking the pill, two patterns on his face, which were partially merged, completely unite into one. Now, only 5 colored patterns remain on the Mad Lord's face. He mutters with shining eyes. Wait for me, dear. I will definitely come for you. To grow old together, to be with each other for 100 years. Because that is what we promised. The heart of the Mad Lord, who made this vow, is so beautiful and dreamlike. And as I observe this scene within the Mad Lord's memories, Seo Wayol's consciousness appears beside me. Ho ho, though I guided it with my own hands, the Zhou clan, including Zhou Yian, always exceeded my expectations. Question mark. Now then, I shall cover up the memory that Mad Lord Zhou Yian despises the most. Splash, gurgle. As he says this, Seo Wayol's consciousness transforms into something resembling black liquid, beginning to fill the scene within Zhou Yian's consciousness. Chuarararara. The black darkness of his tainted soul filling the heavens engulfs Zhou Yian's memories. I realize that the surroundings have turned pitch black, so I protect my and Kim Yian's consciousness. Just then, flash, Seo Wayol, Kim Yian, Oh Hi Seo, and I are all violently ejected from the Mad Lord's mind by a powerful resistance. This. I flinch in surprise as I identify the formula that is pushing us away. This is definitely the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Pot. When I regain my composure, I find myself standing in front of the Mad Lord, fully conscious. And the moment I see the look in his eyes, I immediately know. The Mad Lord has regained his senses. But at the same time, I know something is wrong. Remove this hand. Though the madness has clearly subsided, his eyes are heavily bloodshot, and a thick murderous intent is seeping from his entire body. I release my grip on the Mad Lord and take a step back. He glances at me briefly before glaring at Seo Wayol's projection behind me. Elder Zhou Yian, the bright cold realm is. Currently, the next moment, without even listening to us, the Mad Lord immediately manipulates the wonderfully mysterious fortress and detonates Seo Wayol's body. Whoosh, he turns his head to glare at me and speaks. Did you join hands with Seo Wayol? It's a temporary alliance for now. Then die. In the next instant, the Mad Lord's her and puppet Hyeonium lunge at me. Quadudududuke. Damn it. Though he's regained his senses, it seems he's become even more ferocious and filled with killing intent. I glance at the Mad Lord. His consciousness, previously a chaotic mix of colors, is now solely aflame with blood red and dark crimson. The current Mad Lord is overflowing with hatred and animosity towards the world. This is the first time I've seen the Mad Lord like this. Whenever I brought the Mad Lord back to his senses in the past, he was always a calm and benevolent elder. I vaguely assumed that the same Mad Lord would return this time as well, but what emerged is a completely different being. When you kidnapped my disciple last time, didn't you hint at tainted soul filling the heavens with that heart tribe single strike or whatever? But now you've come here after joining hands with Seo Wayol. Have you already been eroded by that bastard? That would never be the case, old man Zhou Yian. Then just why? Cooing, blocking the attacks from puppet Hyeonium and her, I take a heavy step towards the Mad Lord. Look, I lay bare my heart essence to the Mad Lord without holding back. Upon seeing it, the Mad Lord seems to flinch in surprise. With the entering heaven's sight granted by the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, my heart essence must appear like a hellish inferno to him. The elder's pain and suffering. Drip, drip, as I recall that moment again, black tears naturally flow from my eyes. I don't entirely fail to understand it. No matter how powerful tainted soul filling the heavens may be, it cannot erode someone who is already broken like us. Isn't that right, Elder Zhou Yian? At my words and the sight of my heart essence, the Mad Lord stares at my eyes for a moment, then rubs his head and flicks his fingers. His wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon trembles, causing her and Black Lord to be detached from my body. Quote. It seems Seo Whale temporarily broke one of the memories I hold most dear. Thanks to the absence of that information, I've regained some clarity, but that doesn't mean the emotions tied to those memories have vanished. I still can't control this raging anger. I'll listen to what you have to say out of respect for your sincerity and my disciple, but don't provoke me. Right now, I'm like a bomb ready to explode at any moment. I begin to explain as I look at Zhou Yian, who has intent as red as Jaeon Myung-hoon. Quote. First of all, a disaster has descended upon the bright cold realm. Because of that, the human race had to be driven out of their own territory. I briefly explain the situation, starting with how the human race lost their homeland. The Mad Lord listens to my story, then stares at me with bloodshot eyes and asks. So, you want to expel a star-shattering stage monster outside the world. The one pulling from outside will be Seo Whale, the one pushing will be you, and I'll be keeping it busy for a while, is that it? That's correct. Quote. The Mad Lord glares at me with a displeased look and asks. Why should I do that? That's because. And then, it happens. TSTSTSTSTSTs. Beside me, Kim Yeon, who is connected to me through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, appears. She created a gang sphere clone and overlaid it with an illusion to send a projection next. To me, she was originally struggling at the 5 energies converging to the origin stage, but after obtaining a demon core of the Earth tribe, she linked it with her inner core, formed a gang sphere, and quickly reached ultimate pinnacle. The reason is, you owe me something. Kim Yeon's projection speaks confidently as she looks at the Mad Lord. At her words, the Mad Lord smirks and says, "Oh ho, it seems you've done well the homework I assigned you. Yes, I have fully deciphered everything. So please help out the disciple who has inherited your teachings." However, the Mad Lord snorts. "You're saying something laughable, my disciple. If you had fully deciphered the magic artifact I made for you, you should have already mastered the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. But it seems you haven't. The reason is obvious. You must have received help from someone, right?" At his words, Kim Yeon nods. "That's right, I received help from someone with the same extraordinary pattern law talent as you." The Mad Lord's eyes widen. Received help from someone with the extraordinary pattern law talent. Could it be that the filthy bloodline of the Zhou clan still continues to this day? Baduduke, he grinds his teeth and mutters. "It makes my skin crawl. Truly disgusting. The grudge with that clan." I slightly furrow my brows as I look at the Mad Lord. Judging by the intense emotions boiling within him, it seems he's about to go after Buk Hyunghwa to kill her. But in the next moment, "So what are you going to do?" Kim Yeon turns the question back to the Mad Lord. "Do you really think you can do anything to the person I'm protecting?" Quote. The Mad Lord glares at Kim Yeon for a moment. Then he closes his eyes. Quote. Fine, whether or not you received help from someone with the extraordinary pattern law talent, you must have heard my message, so you should know what I want. Yes, and I know that I am the only one who can fulfill your wish. Yes, that's correct, but, for you to fulfill my wish, that level of mastery in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon won't do. It's regrettable that you used a shortcut to decipher my task and failed to properly advance your realm. The Mad Lord's bloodshot eyes are fixed on Kim Yeon. Quote. This time, I will help you. But the next time you appear, you must have grown enough to fulfill my wish. Understood. Kim Yeon nods, and the Mad Lord's killing intent eases slightly at her response. All right, I understand. Now, take me to that so-called ghost guiding Holy Mother or whatever. However, make sure to not bring that Seo Whale bastard in front of me. I'll definitely lose my mind if I see him. Thud, the Mad Lord sends a lump of energy condensed with the formula of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon towards Kim Yeon's projection. It seems to be a formula containing insights into the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Kim Yeon absorbs the massive formula, and I send a voice transmission to Seo Whale, who is observing the wonderfully mysterious fortress from a distance. You follow from a distance. The Mad Lord doesn't want to see you. When I send him this heart message he nods. Understood. In that case, Taoist Seo, please bring the Mad Lord. I will prepare to pull with my madam from the astral realm. TSTSTSTSTSTs. After finishing his words, Seo Whale completely vanishes from the spot, leaving no trace behind. Kugugugu. The wonderfully mysterious fortress takes to the sky. Where do we need to go? Please head towards Heaven Earth Palace for now. The place where the flying immortal platform was when we first ascended. Got it. Despite being engulfed in anger and pain, the Mad Lord has regained his senses to some extent and follows my lead as I guide him. Kim Yeon, since the Mad Lord has regained his senses now, withdraw your consciousness. However, Kim Yeon looks at me with a troubled expression and sends me a heart message through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. As I listen to her, I get a headache and frown. Quote. Just ignore it for now. This isn't the time for an argument. Just then, Pa Jik, Pa Jijijik. W8, Grandmother Yeon. You shouldn't. Kwaggjik. A bolt of lightning shoots through Kim Yeon's consciousness, causing her projection to transform into something familiar to me. It's the projection of Yeon Wei. As expected of an old monster who has lived for 40,000 years, she seems to have mastered a secret art that interferes with another's consciousness and alters their projection. Seo Eun-yun, clench. Yeon Wei's projection grabs me by the collar the moment she appears. You, just what have you done? The 4 disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, just where did they go? Just how much more must you take from me to be satisfied? She clings to me, her voice trembling with anger and sorrow, and grinds her teeth as if on the verge of tears. How much longer will you only take from us? Chapter 424. What does a person live for? 3. Gazes focus on me. I can feel the eyes of the Mad Lord and Hun Wan, and even the sticky stare of Seo Weol from afar is directed this way. Are they mistaking me for a true immortal? Quote. It seems there's some misunderstanding, ancestor. I am not some true immortal entity. However, she doesn't listen to my words and instead bows her head at my feet. O Great One, please, I beg thee to now spare our sect. We are nothing more than a small sect in the head realm. There are not many of us who even truly believe and follow the legend of the founder. We are those who have nothing to do with the founder's deeds, so please. Even if you have a grievance against the founder, please, I implore thee, let your anger be appeased with just me. Just as I'm about to say something in response to her desperate demeanor, as if she would lick my feet. Flash. The dull light of the flying escape technique flickers, and in that instant, Hun Wan swiftly charges in and kicks Yeon Wei's projection away. Kwang. Yeon Wei, kicked in the stomach by Hun Wan, is sent flying and crashes into a pillar of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Hun Wan glares at Yeon Wei and growls. What do you think you're doing right now, Jin Wei? Hun Wan. She trembles as she looks at Hun Wan. You've become blind. Those once shining eyes have completely lost their focus. Yeon Wei lets out a short, ha, and bites her lip as if in despair. I expected this from the start. When I was trying to pluck out your eyes and extract the contamination of the great being embedded in your soul, I could feel that the contamination was regenerating your eyes and giving you strength. I've always thought that the spiritual eye divine power you later gained was certainly something bestowed upon you by someone. She looks at Hun Wan with bitter eyes and then looks up at me. If it was bestowed by someone, then that someone could retrieve it whenever they wish, is that not right? Oh God, she staggers as she gets up from the ground. The power I felt when I stitched that fool's mind. The presence I sensed while chasing that being called Cheon Ra. And, the aura I started to feel from you at some point. They were all the same. Yeon Wei, stumbling, walks forward and kneels before me again. Oh God, I've been aware of it. I've suspected it from the very day you took me, Jaeon Myung-hoon, and your followers to that familiar feeling Salt Mountain. Thud, she bangs her head on the ground before me. Even so, I trusted you deep down in my heart. Ah, Great One, just as you protected us from the owner of that wicked heavenly lightning banner, I believed you wouldn't bring us misfortune this time. However, what we mere mortals dared to and yet cannot comprehend is your purpose. Yes, you must have had a need, hence you used us. Our founder was such a person as well. But please, I beg of you, this insignificant thing has a request. Bang, bang, she bangs her head on the ground, even materializing her projection to do so. I can feel it, though it's just a projection, it's connected to the soul enshrined within the head realm, bearing all of the same pain. Please, take me as the last, and spare the descendants. Bang, at her words, I try to say something, but I find myself at a loss for words and close my mouth. She felt that the presence of Cheon Ra, which she sensed while suturing Hun Wan's mind in the past, the presence of Kunglai Island's Salt Mountain when I brought her there, and the presence of the phenomena extinguishing mantra that I had internalized, were all identical. This led her to fully believe that I am the incarnation of the owner of Great Mountain. In other words, from her perspective, I am now the very being who drove Hun 1 to madness 40,000 years ago, shattering her heart, and the source of the misfortune that has plagued her life. I close my eyes. In truth, perhaps this is how most people see me. Unless they are my comrades who also quickly accumulated power after arriving from Earth, this is probably the normal way people see me. There is a method to clear up this misunderstanding to prove that I am not a true immortal. That's by revealing my regression. But I can't do that. So what should I do? I find myself at a loss, unable to think of a solution, and can only open and close my mouth. And the one who saves me from this predicament is none other than Hun 1. Clench. He grabs Yin Wei by the collar and lifts her up, growling with an even more furious expression than before. Answer my question, Jin Wei. I asked, what do you think you're doing? ... What does it matter to you what I do? It's none of your concern, is it? Why wouldn't it matter? Right now, are you not offering yourself to that person without repaying the debt you owe me? Debt? What debt? Ah, you mean plucking out your eyes. Ha, those eyes that couldn't even properly distinguish people were too good for you, so I removed them. In fact, the eyes that have lost their light suit you much better. She laughs scornfully at Hun 1 and shouts. How many times do I have to tell you, you blind fool? There's no such person called Qian Ra, and I've only ever killed one disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect with my own hands. That wasn't even the Qian Ra you knew, but my own senior brother. Got it. Stop spouting nonsense. You are clearly the monster who devoured all your fellow disciples. You took everything from me. I will never allow you to become someone else's possession before you repay that debt. ... Foolish man. Yin Wei looks down at Hun 1 while still being held by the collar. For some reason, her eyes hold a faint trace of longing and deep despair. You can't even remember the promise of that day, and now you're blocking me with this nonsensical logic driven by leftover emotions. How pathetic. Pathetic, and even more pathetic, my old lover. If you want to stop me, first recall the promise of that day. She's currently a projection made of lightning, so it doesn't show. But I suspect that if she had a physical body, she would be in tears right now. That's how heart-wrenching Yin Wei's intent is at this moment. Nonsense. Aside from the formal pact we made through political marriage, I've never made any promises with you. ... She no longer responds to his words and, in her projected form, slips through Hun 1's grasp and approaches me. Yin Wei glances at Hun 1 briefly and then bends forward slightly without kneeling. Will the Great One please grant my request? With great difficulty, I force myself to speak. Quote ... I am not a true immortal. I am just one person of many. Just like you. ... Yin Wei doesn't respond, but I can't help but hear her inner thoughts echoing within her heart essence. Are you trying to mock us until the very end? And as that thought crosses her mind, as if something saps her strength, Yin Wei's projection slumps to the ground. Seeing this, Hun 1's face twists in anger, as if something doesn't sit well with him. Boo-doo-dook, I told you not to kneel. Wei, ku-goo-goo-goo. The power of yin-yang and the 5 elements begins to surge around Hun 1, and just as I prepare to subdue him. Kwang, the body of Hun 1, who was about to launch an attack, is suddenly crushed under a puppet. It's her. Ku-goo-goo-gek. She synchronizes with the black energy emanating from the Black Lord and unleashes a tremendous force, and Hun 1 is completely subdued beneath her. You're really putting on quite the show in my world. If you don't want to be modified, keep your mouth shut until we arrive. Though the words come from the Mad Lord, who is only at the mid-4-axis stage, no one present can oppose his words. Hun 1 glares at Yin Wei with an unreadable emotion overflowing in his eyes before being dragged away by her. Yin Wei, after briefly glancing at me, lowers her eyes and dissipates her projection, vanishing. You too, stop causing trouble. Don't test my patience. Remember that I'm holding back my anger with superhuman restraint. The Mad Lord also gives me a warning before hastening his control over the wonderfully mysterious fortress. I stand there, recalling Yin Wei's words for a moment. Up until now, I've done everything I could for the sake of saving my people. I've always been careful with my words and cautious of the future. I knew long ago that the heavens are not on our side, so I've done everything I could to ensure we could overcome any misfortune that befalls us. But even so, there are those who saw my actions and formed such sentiments. Have I been too arrogant? When I think about it, I realize that I have. I've always cared about those I wanted to protect, but I never considered their own perspective. Even when I recently drove the human race out of their territory. There may have been those who valued their homeland more than their own lives. I thought that with strong power, I could lead everyone. But I never considered the perspective of those being led. I asked the Mad Lord without thinking. May I ask you a question? What is it? There must have been someone you wanted to protect, right? Of course. If the thoughts of the person you want to protect differ from yours, in other words, if the one you want to protect doesn't actually want to be protected by you, what would you do? Are you talking about that woman from a moment ago? He glances at me briefly, then seems to be deep in thought, letting out a faint hum. That's a problem I've never considered. He seems to have found some sort of insight from my question, and his expression becomes one of deep contemplation, even forgetting his anger. Suddenly, he asks me a question. I heard you taught my disciple the martial arts of mortals. Yes, I was told that the level of that martial art far surpasses that of my old friend, of even my lover. It was only for a brief moment, but it seems that he and Kim Yeon had quite the conversation through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. There's one thing I'm curious about. I completed the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon by researching martial arts and the intent of martial artists with the goal of perfecting my lover's martial art. Then, you, who taught my disciple such a high-level martial art, you must know. He asks, could you defeat cultivators with that martial art alone? And if you could, what is the name of that martial art, and what is the name of that realm? I look into the Mad Lord's eyes, recalling the past. There was a time like that. The days when I was obsessed with whether one could challenge cultivators with martial arts or not. The name that was given in those days. Entering Heavens Beyond the Path Martial Arts. It's the name of the method where mortals can become the heavens. And the realm is called, Entering Heavens Beyond the Path. Entering Heavens. The Mad Lord seems to roll the name around in his mouth for a moment before asking again. In the eyes of someone who has reached that realm, how do I appear? Have I reached what you call entering heavens beyond the path? On behalf of the ones who entrusted their hearts to me, I've dedicated my entire life to reaching that realm with cultivation methods, but I've only managed to slightly glimpse heart essence. In your eyes, how do I seem? I look at him for a moment before answering. Half step. You've only just reached that point. Is that so? The Mad Lord lets out a bitter smile. Then, he gives an answer to my earlier question. You asked what I would do if the hearts of those I wanted to protect differed from mine. Look at me. I devoted my entire life, but I couldn't reach the entering heavens you spoke of. I couldn't protect the ones I wanted to protect, nor have I gained a single thing I sought. Isn't that life? Isn't that fate? He continues speaking while glaring at a certain place. The place he is glaring at is where Seo Whale is looking over in this direction. Even that scorpion snake bastard glaring at us from afar tried so hard but couldn't obtain what he wanted. In the end, nothing in this world goes exactly as we want it to. So just do what you can. How others think, that isn't something you can control. For things you can't control, just let it go, and for things you can, just give it your all. Surik, the Mad Lord speaks while stroking her hand. That is the only reason I'm still alive in this strange and bizarre world, even while harboring this pain. As if recalling something, his voice somehow lacks strength. With those words, the conversation between the Mad Lord and me comes to an end. 3 days later, the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious fortress arrives at Heaven Earth Palace. Are you ready, Seo Whale? I ask Seo Whale through heart language, and he responds. The preparations for pulling are almost complete. However, it seems that being will climb up to the bright cold realm sooner than expected. What? Around when? It will arrive in about half a day. I let out a low groan at those words. Understood. Get ready to pull when I give the signal. The Mad Lord will hold, and I will push. Yes, got. And then, it happens. Quagwagwagwong. The entire bright cold realm shakes, and celestial energy begins to flow erratically. I flinch in surprise and look up at the sky, and a hurried message comes from Seo Whale's side. Upon receiving Seo Whale's message, I roar in anger. Seo Whale, just what? I apologize, Taoist Seo. I wasn't aware of the correlation between them and the ghostly yin transformation immortal root, so I couldn't foresee this. Damn, fine. I explain the situation to the Mad Lord. The Mad Lord listens to my explanation and lets out a hollow laugh. Look at that. In the end, nothing in this world goes the way you want it to. Damn it. I'm on the verge of losing my mind, grinding my teeth. Contrary to Co Whale's prediction, the ghost-guiding Holy Mother isn't emerging from the Void Spirit Pond. Instead, Kong Minhee is being summoned near my comrades who are with the Nether Crossing ship. It's clear that the Nether Crossing ship has summoned Kong Minhee. Right now, I must immediately go to my comrades, who are preparing to leap from the edge of the stable realm to the Heart Tribe territory. But how? There's no way. Just as my mind is about to go blank. TSTSTSTST. Kim Yeon, who is connected to me through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, sends me a voice transmission. Can you come right away? No, I'm at the Heaven Earth Palace. It's impossible to get there right now. Hyunghwa says she has a way. What? Startled by her words, I ask back. What's the method? For now, I'll send Hyunghwa's consciousness over there. Woo Wang. Kim Yeon's consciousness links with Buk Hyunghwa, and through Kim Yeon, Buk Hyunghwa's projection appears here. Pot. Buk Hyunghwa encounters Jo Yeon inside the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Hello, Elder Jo Yeon. This lowly junior Buk, am honored to meet the idol of all artisans in the head realm. At her words, Jo Yeon frowns and asks. And who are you? She's the artisan with the extraordinary pattern law talent who was mentioned to have helped Yeon previously. She's currently close with us. However, upon my explanation, the expression on the Mad Lord's face becomes somewhat strange. Are you saying you're a bloodline of the Jo clan? Pardon, that's strange, there's no way you could be a bloodline of the Jo clan, absolutely not. What do you? Well, never mind, I'll hear the details later. So why are you here? At the Mad Lord's question, Buk Hyunghwa regains her composure and forms hand seals. Simultaneously, a certain design appears before us. Though it may be inadequate to present to the pinnacle of the head realm's artisans, with this, it should be sufficient to travel from the Heaven Earth Palace to here. That is, the Mad Lord gazes at the design she has shown with interest. It's the blueprint of the Realm Annihilation Heavenly Void Formation. However, I ask, feeling frustrated. Time is of the essence right now, where do we have the time to create that? Why not join forces with me and fly the wonderfully mysterious fortress instead? But to my words, the Mad Lord simply sneers. Where do you think time is needed? How much time do you think it even takes? Pardon, what does that? Keying. At the Mad Lord's gesture, a humanoid puppet flies in from somewhere and lands in front of Buk Hyunghwa. No more words are needed. I'll show you, so just watch. Since you don't seem to be of the Jo clan bloodline, I'll temporarily use you as my assistant. I don't know how you acquired the extraordinary pattern law talent without being from my clan, but if it's the extraordinary pattern law talent, you should be able to at least assist well enough. At the Mad Lord's words, Buk Hyunghwa possesses the puppet called by him and responds with an enthusiastic voice. It is an honor, Elder Mad Lord Jo Yeon. Now, let's show them. The power of artisans. Clang 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 clang. The mechanisms of the wonderfully mysterious fortress begin to move. At the same time, the Mad Lord and Buk Hyunghwa combine their abilities, tearing the Void Spirit Pond from the land of the Heaven-Earth Central region, and rapidly start implanting the Realm Annihilation Heavenly Void Formation into the interior of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Insane. Even though I've seen Mad Lord several times, to be honest, even after nearly 200,000 years, I'm still not used to it. Clang 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 clang. Kong. With a grand sound resounding, the Realm Annihilation Heavenly Void Formation, smaller in size but more intricate than the one installed in the Twilight Domain, is quickly established at the center of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. It was made in a makeshift way, but it should be usable. Now, let's get going. The Mad Lord wipes his sweat and activates the Realm Annihilation Heavenly Void Formation, causing the wonderfully mysterious fortress to begin leaping through space. Quararararik. Traversing thousands upon tens of thousands of li in an instant, we soon find ourselves facing a ghost mother heaven. Chapter 425. What does a person live for? Kuring, Kurururum. A storm is brewing. Coal, how long will it take to draw in the ghost guiding Holy Mother? That, since it was originally planned to pull her in from the designated coordinates, now that the coordinates have suddenly changed, it will take more time to adjust them. How much time do we need? It will take at least a day. At those words, I grit my teeth and shout. You useless thing. Wait, please calm down, Taoist CEO. If there's a way to fix the coordinates, we can drastically reduce the time. What do you want me to do? CEO Whale, smiling from a distance, responds to my words. If you have the blood of a sea dragon race like me, or the main soul, you can quickly locate the coordinates. As I understand, one of your comrades is my descendant. If you send me a handful of that child's blood or even a fragment of their soul, I can modify the coordinates within one shichen. So he's asking for Seo Ran's blood or a fragment of his soul. It's when I'm in deep thought. Goo. The wonderfully mysterious fortress finally succeeds in fully settling at its destination. Pushy. The realm annihilation ground shrinking formation installed in the wonderfully mysterious fortress releases its heat, and I, along with my comrades, can once again see the human race Grand Alliance on the deck of the Nether Crossing ship. On the deck of the Nether Crossing ship, Jun Jae and the other leaders of the human race Grand Alliance look back and forth between me and the wonderfully mysterious fortress, clearly bewildered, and I say to them and everyone else present. As the ghost guiding Holy Mother is trying to descend here, all of you should move to the coordinates I've provided. At my words, Heyo GWAK shouts. It's not ready yet. The energy hasn't accumulated enough. Damn it. Then, the Mad Lord steps forward. Black Lord. Goo. A massive darkness emerges from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. An overwhelming power of darkness begins to flow from the puppet made from the corpse of the Black Dragon King Hyeonium. The black seawater originally contained within his integrated Dao domain begins to resonate with the power sources of the Nether Crossing ship. Wu Wang, the power source of the Nether Crossing ship possessed by her is its core, along with the two Nether Crossing ships, begin to rise rapidly. What? No, what in the world? Heyo GWAK, seeing that the Mad Lord is helping them, looks up at him in confusion, and I turn around and shout. If it's charged, activate it. At my words, Heyo. GWAK snaps back to his senses and shouts. Activate the Nether Crossing ship. Activate the Nether Crossing ship. Release the hawsers. Raise the anchor. Upon Heyo Guok's command, thousands upon tens of thousands of ghosts start to boil up from the top of the Nether Crossing ship, rising into the air. The Nether Crossing ship begins to prepare for a spatial leap. Taoist Seo, there's no time. You must send it quickly. Ahead of us, I can see Kong Minhee breaking through the dimensions and descending, while Seo Weol urges me to send a piece of Seo Ran's soul. But I frown. Is he perhaps planning on doing something to Seo Ran? There's no worry if it's just Seo Weol is a single entity, but Seo Weol is a multitude, a plague in himself. If I give him Seo Ran's trace, who knows what he might do? He said he wouldn't betray us, but it's when I'm agonizing to the point of madness. Master. Hong Fan flies over to me. Master should board the Nether Crossing ship as well. Quote. I must stop Kong Minhee here. Come, I understand. Is there anything you need? I briefly explain the current situation to Hong Fan, who nods and says. There's no time to bring Sir Seo Ran, so I'll create the coordinates myself and send them to the person called Seo Weol. What, is that even possible? TSTS. At that moment, Hong Fan instantly pulls out an alchemical furnace and begins tossing in strange medicinal ingredients, starting to refine something. After a while, when Hong Fan places the herbs and poisonous liquid into the alchemical furnace, it heats up, and a deep red liquid starts to ripple inside. Using the leftover and peels of the sea orchid fruit left behind by Sir Seo Ran last time, I've created a liquid with properties almost identical to the true blood of the sea dragon race. I've carefully combined the ingredients, adjusting their proportions and blending the chi of the herbs to perfectly mimic that of the sea dragon race. Master can use this to stabilize the coordinates. Got it. I relay Hong Fan's words to Seo Weol, who accepts my proposal with a hint of disbelief. Understood. I never imagined something like that was possible. Then, I'll connect the coordinates. Pot. At the same time, a fragment of Seo Weol's tainted soul filling the heavens emerges from my shadow and seeps directly into the liquid Hong Fan has created. Hong Fan carefully adjusts the energy of the liquid, working hard to send the coordinates to Seo Weol. After a while, the liquid turns even more crimson and begins to shine brightly. Blood sacrifice ritual. Blood Yin returning home. Wu Wang. The liquid, now infused with Seo Weol's tainted soul filling the heavens, begins to boil as if it's burning crimson red. I squint my eyes and take a step back to avoid the attraction force emanating from the liquid. Soon, Seo Weol's voice echoes. Once that entity returns, please pour the liquid onto it. Got it. Goo. Once again, space distorts, and Kong Minhee, who was temporarily expelled to the interdimensional void by Seo Weol and I, returns. Chills. I feel a shiver run through my entire body as I look at Kong Minhee. This crazy. Previously, her power was unstable, fluctuating at the early star-shattering stage, but now that she descends again, her strength has clearly stabilized at the mid-star-shattering stage. Did she undergo a heavenly tribulation in the interdimensional void in advance? From within the darkness, I can feel her gaze passing over me, directed at the nether crossing ship as it prepares for a spatial leap. The next moment, I quickly swing the colorless glass sword. I sense Kong Minhee launching an attack toward the nether crossing ship at a speed that I can barely perceive. Severing mountain swordsmanship, echoing valley. Emptying all the strength in the sword, I channel Kong Minhee's strike into the blade and deflect it towards the sky. Tong, her single strike, deflected towards the heavens. Jiuk, the sky splits open. Kwaik, from the southern end of the horizon to the northern end. A black line is drawn across the sky, reminiscent of the scene of split sky Kim Young-hoon once showed by cleaving the sky of a sea domain in the ancient Force realm. The difference is that while Kim Young-hoon's feet only cleave the sky of a sea domain at most equivalent in size to the human race territory, Kong Minhee's strike has torn open the far vaster sky of the bright cold realm. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. Watching the black chasm that has formed in the void, I shout at Hong Fan. Pour it, Hong Fan. Depart. Black Ghost Valley. Flash. Two nether crossing ships from the Black Ghost Valley leap through space, and I turn to look at Hong Fan. But for some reason, Hong Fan, showing a blankness he has never shown before, is staring in a daze beyond the darkness that Kong Minhee has cloaked herself in. Hong Fan. Quickly. Kuong. Suddenly, I am struck with such force that I almost lose consciousness. Ughhh. Something massive and powerful slammed into my body. And that something is none other than a barrier formed by hundreds of ghost kings. What is this? What just happened? This is. I realize what is happening and widen my eyes. Kong Minhee, using the ground shrinking technique, is distorting space and leaping through dimensions to chase after the nether crossing ship heading toward the chaos realm. And I, who was between her and the nether crossing ship, am now being swept away by her charge, slammed into the barrier she's created and carried along with her. So this is the ground shrinking technique of the star-shattering stage. If the ground shrinking technique of the 4-axis and integration stage cultivators merely folds space to move a bit faster than the flying escape technique, then the ground shrinking technique at the star-shattering stage is on a completely different level. Pete, everything around appears as a blur of light. Similar to when I ascended from the head realm to the bright cold realm, the entire space is pressing down on me with immense pressure, and everything around me appears like thin lines. And far behind me, I can see the nether crossing ship making a dimensional leap to flee into the Hard Tribe territory. Damn it, she's going to catch up. I grind my teeth as I watch Kong Minhee catching up to the dimensional leap of the nether crossing ship, which is traveling through the infinite space-time, using nothing but the ground shrinking technique. Hong Fan missed the timing. While he was distracted by something, she initiated the ground shrinking technique, preventing Sia Whale from forming the coordinates needed to pull her back. At this rate, the plan won't even begin. I can't let that happen. Ku-do-do-do-duke. I raise the 3 great ultimates behind my back, envelop myself with my domain, and transform into my true form. Gu-ah, ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. In my true form, I exert all of my strength to resist Kong Minhee's attraction force. But I realize that the force of pushing is not really compatible with me from the start. All of my cultivation and combat techniques are specialized in cutting and piercing. Everything I have researched and realized until now is overwhelmingly based on the sword. But the essence of the sword is ultimately about cutting, piercing, and blocking. Pushing itself is not an essence that can be achieved with a sword. If the opponent had a will, I could perhaps momentarily stop them by tearing or gouging out vulnerable spots like the eyes or genitals. But my opponent is Kong Minhee, the ghost guiding Holy Mother. Leaving aside the fact that I can't do such things to her, even if I could, her current ghostly transformation makes such weaknesses meaningless. Curses are useless too. I launched a few weak curses into the darkness, but the pain from the curses dispersed among the countless quadrillions of spirits, rendering it practically useless. If it's a curse created by putting forth all my efforts, it might make even the vengeful spirits that number in the quadrillions flinch, but that's about it. Wu Wang. Through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, I sense the Mad Lord leading the wonderfully mysterious fortress and activating the Realm Annihilation ground shrinking formation, closely following Kong Minhee with Hong Fan. Mad Lord's heart message flies to me. Hold on for just a moment. Then, I'll send the puppet army to spill that scorpion snake bastard's blood. Just slow down her movements even a little, and it'll be possible. Sensing the area behind me, I notice that the Mad Lord's realm annihilation ground shrinking formation is gradually falling behind both Kong Minhee and me. It seems that, having been used once, it's no longer functioning as effectively. Slow her down for a moment. But seeing Kong Minhee who continues without any hesitation despite my best efforts to stop her, I feel a growing sense of despair. Just what can I do to stop her? How? Just how? Sarararik. It's then. Something soft brushes against my fingertips as I'm trying to stop Kong Minhee. You. It's Kim Yeon. I widened my eyes, seeing Kim Yeon's figure appear beside me. Harururururu. She was burning. The one beside me is not her main body, but a consciousness form. She appears as a flame, dense with pure white consciousness. And I have seen this form of hers before. In the 15th cycle, when Kim Yeon presided over Gyu Ryan's vast cold oath. However, unlike back then, her form is considerably more unstable, and instead of the pale pink hue at that time, now it's merely a pure white light that came from densely concentrated consciousness. However, I can feel that she is trying to reach that state from back then, even if only for a moment. Kim Yeon is focusing her mind with an intensity I have never seen before. It's now, in a state that is practically the manifestation of pure consciousness, Kim Yeon. As her hand touches mine, I instantly understand what she wants. It transcends mere thoughts and is directly transmitted. As if hypnotized, I follow Kim Yeon's command and thrust the All Heavens sword into her. Everyone, come. And with the All Heavens sword's adjustment of planes, all my comrades connected through Kim Yeon's wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon simultaneously reveal themselves. Chuarararik, Oh Yun Sok, Azure Tiger Saint, Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, and other comrades manifest their consciousness from the plane of soul, descending to the plane of chi, guided by the All Heavens sword. Kim Yeon has temporarily allowed everyone to reach a state with clones that are almost as good as their main bodies. At the forefront are Oh Yun Sok and Azure Tiger Saint. Ha ha ha, amazing. To think we could create a body with our consciousness and manifest it in the plane of soul, then lower the plane to create clones almost identical to our main bodies. Azure Tiger Saint laughs heartily as he shouts. We can test this legendary technique. Yun Sok ah, yes, master, let's show them our sects. History. Wings begin to sprout from the backs of Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Yun Sok. 1 wing, 2 wings, 3 wings. Gradually, their bodies start to grow larger, boiling with starlight. The wings emit the azure light of the azure heavens, making their bodies shine as if they are formed from both day and night, as if they are the sky itself. 7 wings, 8 wings, 9 wings. Their auras continue to intensify. In an instant, the auras of Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Yun Sok surpass the grand perfection 4-axis stage and soar to the early integration stage. Then, the armor that Azure Tiger Saint is wearing begins to glow. Behold, this is the essence of the 2,000-year history of the great Azure Heaven creation sect. Kaiing, and beneath the 9th wings, a 10th set of wings begins to emerge. These are red wings, wings of life, forged from the blood and sweat of Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Yun Sok. As the auras of the Azure Heaven wings and the wings of life mix, the bodies of Oh Yun Sok and Azure Tiger Saint are dyed in purple. That's the final Azure Wing heavenly shatter of Azure Tiger Saint that I witnessed in the 14th cycle. The form of 10 wings. The purple giants that Oh Yun Sok and Azure Tiger Saint have transformed into charge at Kong Minhee all at once and push her. Your specialty is cutting, Co Un Yun. Oh Yun Sok shouts as he looks back at me. Leave this type of work to us. These clones created by Kim Yeon's ability won't be a problem even if they're destroyed. Azure Tiger Saint, drawing upon the power of the clear sky armor, demonstrates the strength that once briefly blocked the Black Dragon King when he was combined with the Esteemed One. Oh Yun Sok, combining the abilities of the unique holy body and the power of 10 wings, amplifies his strength to a level comparable to Azure Tiger Saint. The 2 giants stand firm as a shield in front of me. Indra's net, Kwaggg, Jaeon Myung-hoon transforms into a 2-headed, 6-armed lightning god, casting a net made of lightning. Soon, the net catches both the wonderfully mysterious fortress and us, and I can feel the wonderfully mysterious fortress being pulled even faster toward us with the help of Jaeon Myung-hoon's power. I heard we need to pour something on Kong Minhee. Kim Yeon is connected to my consciousness, and since our comrades are connected to Kim Yeon's consciousness, most of the situation, excluding demon beasts, has been shared with our comrades in real time. Kim Young-hoon, understanding our plan due to this connection, speaks up. I'll join forces with Hong Fan to scatter it together. Please D. Then, Kong Minhee begins to struggle. Cooing. Coo goo 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 goo. With just one thrash of her body, the nether crossing ship ahead is shaken, the wonderfully mysterious fortress following behind trembles wildly, and all of us blocking her cough up blood from our 7 orifices. If Kang Min-hee keeps moving, it will be difficult even with Hong Fan and Kim Young-hoon joining forces. I make a decision. Go ahead. Even if only for a moment, I will restrict Kang Min-hee's movements. I trust you. Pot. Kim Young-hoon vanishes, and I grip the colorless glass sword, focusing my consciousness for a brief moment. The opponent is an entity that cannot be cut. What works now is not the slashing or piercing of the sword but pushing or blocking. Does that mean my sword is currently useless? No. How many times have I despaired before the heavens, before fate? How many times have I cried out in helplessness against overwhelming force that cannot be resisted? Is it not my sword that I have honed so it can be used even in moments like this? There's still something left that can be cut. If it's against an entity where cutting has no meaning, and even if they are cut they cannot feel pain, what should I cut? TS. I imbue my consciousness into the sword. Originally, it was a move imbued with the nascent soul and swung. But now that the nascent soul has evolved into a domain, it has become a technique that envelops the world within it. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. 25th move. Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace. All my power merges into the sword, and the power completely ascends to the plane of soul. The curse was scattered among the vengeful spirits. TS. The Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace darkens black. In that case, if I embed the curse and reverse it the moment the pain is dispersed, it will lead to a concentration of blessing, instead of a dispersion of the curses. I will concentrate the blessing solely on Kang Min-hee, stopping her even if just for a moment. The Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace alone isn't enough. Though she has no consciousness, she is no different from the star-shattering stage. Even if the speed of the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace is comparable to the single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion, it won't be enough against her. Chances are it will be blocked by her midway. I must strike with a speed that can't be blocked. Along with the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace, I combine another technique. Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace. And Deep Mountain, Emerging Tao. Application Technique. Deep Grace, Shining Dominance and Shen Jiao Jiao Ba. The black sword energy extends in the shape of a crescent moon. The sword energy of the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace flies at the speed of Deep Mountain, Emerging Tao, quickly piercing Kang Min-hee's chest and scattering the curse within her. In the next moment, the curse, along with my will embedded inside, reverses. The pain does not disperse. Instead, the blessing concentrates entirely on her. Pot. A clear crescent moon seems to bloom on Kang Min-hee's chest. It's as if a bright, radiant moon has risen in the middle of the night. Pot. The next moment, I enter Kang Min-hee's heart essence. Inside, I momentarily push out the torment of the ghosts wailing within her and confront her consciousness. A pure white space. Facing each other, now clear-headed in this brief moment, we look at each other and smile bitterly without needing words. Quote. It's so embarrassing, I could die. Kang Min-hee brushes her face. I didn't expect you to come this deep inside, you must have seen everything in my heart. I didn't see everything. Don't lie. You saw it. Tell me what you saw. SSS is. The space I briefly created in Kang Min-hee's heart essence through the blessing is being dyed in darkness. With her face still covered by her hands, she asked. I answer with a gentle smile. Quote. That time, no special explanation is needed. In here, we understand each other's hearts. The evening of the day we dated for the second time, and broke up for the last time. The scene in the smoking area. I saw the longing and regret that Kang Min-hee had hidden at that time. Kang Min-hee lowers her hand. She's crying. The surroundings are being consumed by darkness. The short time gained by the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace is coming to an end. Do you know, Seo Eun-yun? I look at Kang Min-hee calmly, and she speaks while shedding tears. It's now that I finally realize. Pot. Once again, my consciousness returns outside of Kang Min-hee's heart essence. And the voice of Kang Min-hee, who briefly regained her consciousness due to me, quietly echoes amidst the ghostly wails. Life is sorrow. Shush. Then, Seo Whale's red liquid is scattered above her. Flash. The coordinates connect, and the gate to the astral realm where Seo Whale and Ohai Seo are opens. 426. Clang. It's called a door, for convenience, but in reality, it's a type of branded mark. A red dragon's branded mark is imprinted on Kang Min-hee's body. That's It's the same spell formation I've seen on the topmost floor of the serving command palace. The spell formation imposed on her body and the ghost kings around her begins to bind her, becoming a passage to the astral realm. Zoom. A faint image of the astral realm begins to emerge behind Kong Min-hee. The branded mark on her body is summoning a scene of the universe filled with stars. And through that scene, I understand the reason Seo Whale's curse of blindness, which was originally 1,000 years, extended to a span of 2 billion years. Seo Whale, you crazy bastard. The scene of the astral realm. Beyond it, true to its name, an endless sea of stars stretches out. And within that sea of stars, countless beings live among the fixed stars and planets. From flame whales living within fixed stars to civilizations on blue planets, to insect-like species dwelling on planets filled with toxic clouds. Filled with all kinds of civilizations and all forms of life, the astral sea, Shanghai. Seo Whale is there, thud, on a planet inhabited by a species resembling humans. One of the members of that species stands there with hands behind their back, smiling faintly. Thud, 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 thud. Ho ho. Then, all the members of the race around them begin to laugh in the exact same manner. Ho 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 ho. Thud 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 thud. Their alien, mask-like laughter spreads across the entire planet. It's the same for other stars as well. On the toxic cloud-covered planet, the poisonous insects that had been spewing venom stand up, twitching their antennae as they begin to laugh. Even the flame whales living in the fixed stars stop swimming and begin to laugh in place. All the life forms on every star visible behind Kong Min-hee are already infected by Seo Whale. Their numbers, even with a simple calculation, easily reach hundreds of billions. No, it might even be in the trillions. This insane bastard, he caused all this mess while blind. Once fully consumed by the tainted soul filling the heavens, one essentially becomes identical to Seo Whale. Even if trillions of Seo Whales just casually litter the streets or bump into people once a day, all those evil deeds would certainly accumulate to easily fill 2 billion years. It's when I'm struck in shock. Wait, Seo Whale, that bastard, could it be? Somewhere far off in the astral realm. From that place, I sense a familiar presence, and I understand what Seo Whale is trying to do. Oh hi, Seo is exerting her power. Just like how Kim Yeon and I are connected through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, allowing us to sense each other's intentions and share power back and forth. Oh hi, Seo is connected to Seo Whale and the tainted soul filling the heavens, exchanging authority between them. Wu Wang. By her authority, a Taiji appears above the inhabitants of countless stars infected by the tainted soul filling the heavens. The tainted soul filling the heavens stirs their souls. Oh hi, Seo's authority, linked with the tainted soul filling the heavens, begins to move their chi. Tap. All the Seo Whales simultaneously form a hand seal. The insects use their antennae, the demon beasts use their paws, tails, or fins, all forming the same hand seal. My jaw drops at the following scene. The star veins are changing. Chills. Though Seo Whale roughly explained it to me, I didn't know the exact method. Now that I understand what he's doing, I'm left utterly dumbfounded. By infecting the inhabitants of the planets with tainted soul filling the heavens, Seo Whale is seizing control of the dragon veins by linking their corrupted souls to the plane of chi through Oh Hi Seo's authority, and with that, he is brainwashing the stars. Goo. Stars also possess souls, but those souls are completely different from those of intelligent beings or living creatures. The will and reason within those souls is minimal. However, Seo Whale has temporarily brainwashed all life forms on the stars and, through those beings, is overlaying his personality onto the stars whose reason are weak. Pawak. Finally, the nether crossing ship makes a dimensional leap and briefly reaches the interdimensional void outside the bright cold realm. Despite the brand of Seo Whale still being on her, Kong Min-hee also follows the nether crossing ship and leaps out of the dimension. I can sense the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious fortress, which had been pursuing us, suddenly come to a stop. Seo Whale. The Mad Lord is crying out in tears of blood from within the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Did you erase my most important memory? The tainted soul filling the heavens placed on the Mad Lord is unraveling. Damn, he begins to go berserk, and Kim Young-hoon moves quickly, taking Hong Fan from the wonderfully mysterious fortress onto the nether crossing ship. Seo Whale. Seo Whale. Seo Whale. The Mad Lord's consciousness grows unstable, and as he rages, the wonderfully mysterious fortress that has been following us begins to descend back into the dimension. Though the Mad Lord is cursing Seo Whale continues his spell without paying any attention. The star veins are moving. The attraction force of the stars brainwashed by Seo Whale begin to move freely, causing changes in the star veins. Ding! With the senses given by the star vein I hear a sound like a Brahma bell being struck from some distant place as the star veins move. As the star veins shift, they sketch out a massive formation in the universe. Ding! The sound of the Brahma bell rings once more, and above the formation drawn across the universe, the light of divine immortal beasts such as the black dragon, lustrous glaze peacock, and azure pung appears. It's Ohai Seo's authority. Then, the forms of the immortal beasts begin to cry out in unison. Woo! Coo goo 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 goo. As the immortal beasts howl, an attraction force begins to emerge from the center of the formation. Kong Min-hee's speed slows. Now, all that's left is for Seo Whale to pull and for me to push. But with the Mad Lord out of the picture, I have to do this alone. Even if Kong Min-hee struggles, there's no choice. I have to push her out. Sorry, Kong Min-hee. As I gaze upon Kong Min-hee, with tears of dark blue streaming from her eyes in the darkness, I summon the three great ultimates and press both palms forward. Goodbye. Seo Whale and Ohai Seo pull, and I push. Coo goo 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 goo. Kong Min-hee slowly begins to be pushed backwards. She starts moving toward the scene of the universe. It's then, flash, a blue light seems to flicker from Kong Min-hee's hand, and she reaches out toward the two nether crossing ships ahead. Kugugugek, attraction force of a cosmic level pulls towards her, summoning the nether crossing ships. It isn't her will. The countless vengeful souls harbored within Kong Min-hee are demanding the blood debt of humanity aboard the nether crossing ships. Of course, aside from the grudge against humanity, the ghostly energy of the nether crossing ships is similar to the energy Kong Min-hee has cultivated, making the attraction force even stronger. Ah! Kong Min-hee's scream echoes through the interdimensional void. I'm sorry, Kong Min-hee. There are still so many things I haven't been able to say to her. I can't imagine how much she's suffering. Though I've endured hellish experiences, I don't even dare to imagine how her suffering compares, burdened with the pain of vengeful souls numbering in the quadrillions within her. But now is not the time to comfort her as I did back then. I have already lost far too much. Losing more would wear down my heart too much. The human race facing calamity, my comrades, and my own life. Now, I will protect them. Wo Wang. However, as I sense the overwhelming power of Kong Min-hee, I break out in a cold sweat. She's too strong. My prediction was wrong. It isn't just that her strength is immense. Kong Min-hee and the nether crossing ship share the same ghostly energy. As a disciple of Black Ghost Valley, she possesses the attraction force of Black Ghost Valley itself. In other words, as long as the nether crossing ship of Black Ghost Valley is advancing ahead, shaking her off completely is a nearly impossible task. This isn't the time to hold back. Kuguguging. Watching the nether crossing ships being pulled by Kong Min-hee's attraction force, I make my decision. I must do everything I can to push her away. I draw out the colorless glass sword and focus my sword intent. Just then, Bo Wang, Quagwag Wang. Suddenly, an explosive force erupts from within Kong Min-hee and throws me back completely. Kahayak. I am flung back solely by the slash of a ghost claw and crash straight into one of the nether crossing ships. Quagwag Wang. My mind feels like it's going blank. The impact has caused the nether crossing ship's midsection to be half destroyed. Fortunately, it didn't split completely and remains barely connected. I shout to Heyo Gwak. Overdrive the nether crossing ship. As much as you can. And then, flash, along with a blue light, Heyo Gwak and several of the heavenly being stage elders and ghost kings of Black Ghost Valley rush in and completely shatter the half-broken midsection of the nether crossing ship. I'm taken aback. Thud, 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 thud. The elders of Black Ghost Valley, including Heyo Gwak, push the remaining half of the nether crossing ship towards the other advancing nether crossing ship, while the ghost kings of the opposite nether crossing ship pull the half with their attraction force. The half of the nether crossing ship they are pushing is filled with young cultivators whose cultivation realms are lower. Kugugugugoo. On top of the collapsing nether crossing ship that is being pulled by Kong Min-hee, Heyo Gwak and the other elders of Black Ghost Valley pay their respects in the unique manner of the Black Ghost Valley towards the nether crossing ship fleeing in the distance. Thump, 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 thump. As the elders pay their respects by striking their chests, the elders on the other nether crossing ship, led by Heyo Ryong, reciprocate in the same manner. I ask Heyo Gwak. Quote. Why did you stay behind? You could have escaped with your ancestors. Heyo Gwak gives a bitter smile. Quote. As you may recall, Min-hee is the child I brought here. He turns his head to look at Kong Min-hee, who is stretching her hand towards us. Heo Gwak and the elders all transform into ghost kings. Sails sprouts from Heo Gwak's body. He transforms into the form of a ghost king with sails. The captain must share the fate of the ship. Being in a position of leadership means bearing the responsibility. I was responsible for Min-hee, and I am also responsible for this nether crossing ship. Heo Gwak and the Ghost Kings of Black Ghost Valley calmly look at Kong Min-hee from atop the nether crossing ship, drawing forth their ghostly energy. Therefore, we will not flee from our responsibilities. Pot. All at once, they throw themselves into the darkness where Kong Min-hee is, without hesitation. Heo Gwak, until the very end, controls the split nether crossing ship, charging the remaining half of it towards Kong Min-hee. I separate from the nether crossing ship, committing their final moments to memory. Quagwagwawong. The nether crossing ship self-destructs, and Kong Min-hee, who has embraced its energy, momentarily pauses in the face of the familiar explosion of energy. All the elders of Black Ghost Valley who had ascended from the head realm perish without exception. Watching them, I take out an item from my domain. Wo Wang, a spiritual body the size of a head, covered in pure white light. It's the heavenly lotus fruit. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Just consuming it could turn an ordinary mortal into a 4-axis stage cultivator, an insane spiritual fruit. A snack enjoyed by true immortals. The fruit of the Melia tree nurtured by Hainyang. As the true heavenly lotus fruit enters my stomach, a tremendous storm of spiritual energy begins to whirl within my domain. How much spiritual power does it take to turn an ordinary person into a 4-axis stage cultivator? At the very least, it would require enough spiritual energy to forcibly create the axes of the heavenly circle and earthly bearings. And if it's that much spiritual energy, early, mid, late, grand perfection, in any case, my cultivation reached the grand perfection stage before regression. It only dropped a little while regressing. Quirururururung. A rumbling sound echoes from around me as lightning flickers. With the momentum to carve out my cultivation, I will unleash the single strike that severed the misfortune of the entering nirvana true persons. The star-shattering stage is a star. Just as integration stage grand cultivators or demon kings develop domains within their bodies, star-shattering esteemed ones form stars within their bodies. Although it's the size of a moon, it's still large enough to be considered a star from a mortal's perspective. In other words, to land a meaningful strike against a star-shattering stage being, one must be able to sever a star. That's why you gave me the task of cutting a star, heaven collapsing esteemed one. I charge at Kong Min-hee, unleashing my sword move. And at some point, I realize that I have entered what feels like a pure white space. I must have reached the stage of awakening in the midst of facing this formidable adversary of the highest level. In this pure white space, I clearly perceive the path I must take. I can feel it, the immense force to cut down a star is boiling within me. The spiritual nature contained in the heavenly lotus fruit is refining my mind. If I take just one step forward, I will attain supreme enlightenment and cut down Kong Min-hee. A new realm begins to unfold before my eyes, and as I stretch my hand towards the resonating enlightenment, I begin my sword dance. In the next moment, I realize that I have been performing accumulating dust forms a mountain completely wrong all this time. A new horizon begins to open. Chapter 427. What does a person live for? 6. Inside the cluster of pure white light, I gaze at the new horizon as if spellbound. However, I hesitate in swinging my sword. No. Instinct whispers. This moment of enlightenment is now or never. If I miss this moment, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Memories of when I failed to achieve enlightenment to the pinnacle during my first-rate martial artist days flashes through my mind. Am I going to repeat that same regret again? Gradually, the brilliant white light surrounding me begins to fade. Instinct warns me more urgently. Something whispers in my ear, shaking my heart violently. Is this not the realm I've longed for all my life? How can I stop here? Has the belief that if I attain the Tao in the morning, I'm content with death in the evening faded within me? Then, I shout back at the questions echoing inside my heart. It's not right after all. Kwachang. At that moment, the white world around me shatters. I shout at the voice that has been whispering in my ear, trying to lead me somewhere. This is not my way. TS. Simultaneously, the power that was boiling within me, as if ready to explode, begins to subside. It might seem like a foolish situation where I've just missed a chance at enlightenment. But only after overcoming this deadly temptation can I be sure. Something is wrong. What went wrong? I ask myself. You could have reached a higher realm. You missed that opportunity. Just as you lost your chance to the pinnacle from first rate and had to sacrifice a lifetime, you will waste this life as well. It seems you'll have to endure another 190,000 years of suffering to wake up. I spit harsh words at myself. But only after escaping the light and locking eyes with Kong Minhee in the darkness do I understand the reason I suddenly kicked away my enlightenment. It's, because she's not something I should cut down. What I failed to cut down when I missed the enlightenment to the pinnacle was a leaf. If I had cut that leaf, I would have reached the pinnacle. But now, what I have to cut down is Kong Minhee. What nonsense. Don't you have to sever all connections to rise to the second step before the throne? I shout at myself. Cut it, sever it, cut off all attachments and regrets, and rise to the next realm. Wrong. I answer my own questions and raise my sword. What torments me the most is that, even though I've escaped the space of white light, the effects of the awakening I gained there linger, making countless possibilities of martial arts that start with the trajectory of Kong Minhee's attack appear before my eyes. If I keep unfolding the accumulating dust forms a mountain based on these possibilities, I can surely cut her down. I might even advance to the second step before the throne and kill the mindless star-shattering stage Kong Minhee. But I don't do that. Instead, I ignore the enlightenment descending from the domain of instinct and charge at Kong Minhee. Cut it down, Seo Eun-yun. I will not cut. Isn't what you hold in your hand a sword? I look at my sword in response to my own shout. The colorless glass sword has become a refining void dharma treasure. What are the characteristics of a refining void dharma treasure? It is precisely that a refining void dharma treasure is partially assimilated with one's heart essence. Hence, even if it shatters or flies far away, as long as the form of the dharma treasure remains within the heart essence, it can be revived and retrieved through it. The dharma treasure itself spans two planes, just like a cultivator's nascent soul. And this means that it can transform freely, just like an axis. My colorless glass sword has already fully fused with the all-heavens sword at some point, transforming into a thin line. A line is the optimal form for cutting. It's as if I am holding the very concept of cutting in my hand. But is a line truly only meant for cutting? Ignoring the voice in my heart urging me to cut down Kong Minhee, I begin to enter into repentant enlightenment. When Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Yun Sok bought me time just moments ago, I thought I needed their help because I found it hard to exert my full strength except by cutting. When Heo Gwak and the Ghost Kings of Black Ghost Valley from the Head Realm self-destructed in front of Kong Minhee just moments ago, I thought there was no other way but to perform a sword dance. But isn't it absurd? Even if a sword is made for cutting and stabbing, shouldn't a true swordsman also know how to hit, block, and deflect? The limits of the sword are not the limits of cutting. But it is a weapon made for cutting and stabbing. That is also true. This is an instrument designed for cutting, stabbing, and killing. However, cutting, stabbing, and killing all differ depending on the purpose. Being able to slice vegetables or meat to make fried rice, cut through the air to perform a sword dance, and even sever through one's own limits for training, that is the sword. In the end, even if the sword is meant for cutting, stabbing, and killing, it is the person who wields it. As the person holding the sword, I declare, I do not sever my connections. Pot. And with those words, I feel something inside me shatter. Is that so? It's the heavenly lotus fruit. What I just mistook for enlightenment is, in fact, the heart demon created by the fruit of true immortals, the heavenly lotus fruit. The insidiousness of this heart demon is so deep that while most other heart demons would be devoured by me, the one from the heavenly lotus fruit is so intricate that it's indistinguishable from my own thoughts. Intricate and powerful, the heart demon from the heavenly lotus fruit is shocked upon hearing my response. However, instead of disappearing completely, it displays the possibility of a new realm right before my eyes. The increasingly certain power of accumulating dust forms a mountain. The increasingly liberated potential of accumulating dust forms a mountain. It's a possibility so undeniably certain. But I ignore the possibilities presented by the heavenly lotus fruit and completely let go of what I hold in my hand. A swordsman letting go of his sword. Have you gone mad, Seo Eun-yun? It's already within me. I have never let it go even once. The heart demon shakes my heart powerfully. Letting go of the sword just now feels incredibly foolish and stupid. But I don't care and continue advancing towards Kong Minhee, swordless. You let go of your sword, so how will you block Kong Minhee? Yet, as I ignite accumulating dust forms a mountain around me, I speak. It's already within me. I can block her with this. The hazy cloud of accumulating dust forms a mountain, which manifests the canvas of myriad forms and connections, covers the area around me. Wrong. Letting go of the sword means abandoning the act of cutting. Your accumulating dust forms a mountain will not be able to cut through anything. Indeed, without the sword, the unfolding technique's sharp energy has disappeared. Originally, this is a technique that manifests the mist of the canvas of myriad forms and connections through the cloud of sword energy. But this time, what unfolds seems to be just a simple ashen mist. Half closing my eyes, I realize as I plunge into the cloud of vengeful souls enveloping Kong Minhee. This is no longer just a conflict between Kong Minhee and myself. Now, my actions have become a battle between me and my heart demon. Realizing that all the connections with Kim Yeon, which were tied by the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, have been severed by the heart demon, I speak to it. Did you sever the connections? The one who severed it is you. Because you need to cut off all connections and ties and become emotionless to advance to the next stage, you unconsciously detached Kim Yeon's consciousness yourself. Quote. Severing is not the only way to reach emptiness. I start to fend off the vengeful spirits rushing toward me. The hazy cloud begins to part as I carve a path towards Kong Minhee at the center. Embrace all connections and become impermanence. This is the enlightenment of a being who reached the pinnacle of the world. Aren't you just reciting words that you yourself haven't truly understood? That's not enlightenment, it's just a chant, Jo Wien. Quote. You're right, I don't fully grasp the meaning of the mantra. Thud, I repel another vengeful soul. Since I'm only repelling and not cutting them down to destroy them, the number of vengeful souls attacking me is gradually increasing. As the ones I fend off return, it becomes increasingly difficult to hold my ground. But one thing is certain. Attaining the Tao in the morning, content with death in the evening. The Tao is ultimately a path. It signifies the road I must travel. And the meaning of, if I attain the Tao in the morning, I am content with death in the evening, is that finding the path I must travel is of greater value than even life itself. My path is one where I cannot sever connections. Therefore, if it's for my connections to not be severed, I don't care about the next realm. Pasasic. With that, I stop listening to the heart demon's words and charge forward. Instead, I begin to feel. I feel the connection I have at this moment. I feel the essence between Kong Minhee and myself. She is someone with deep feelings and great empathy. Although she might appear prickly and unsociable, her heart is always warm. When something irritating happens, she may act tough on the outside, but in private, she softens. It's precisely because she is like this that she embraced the resentment of countless vengeful spirits into her heart. In the end, it's Kong Minhee who has a heart so broad that she can embrace the pain of these resentful ghosts. However, if she carries the pain of others herself, who, then, will bear her own pain? Kurring, I finally break through the vengeful spirits and reach the barrier enveloping Kong Minhee. A barrier formed by the gathered souls of Ghost Kings. To cross through this barrier, I must ultimately cut it. But perhaps due to the influence of the heart demon, the sharp energy in my attack has vanished. I must break through this wall without cutting or stabbing it. It seems like an impossible task. Yes, just like the task Jangik gave me, to cut through a star. I recall the All Heavens sword that I threw into the sky. At any time, I can summon the All Heavens sword. And if I were to slash with the All Heavens sword, I would be able to break through the barrier. But I don't do that. You fool, are you just going to stand here and die a meaningless death without doing anything? It's not a meaningless death. I respond to the heart demon, my eyes gleaming. Kong Minhee's ghost claw flies toward me. Dodging the slash, I shout. No matter who, how, or for what reason someone dies, there's no such thing as a meaningless death in this world. All deaths have meaning. Because the life that led to that death holds meaning. Why does life have meaning? A life that seems empty and hollow. What meaning is there in a life that from the perspective of death, is so transparent that neither blessings nor curses can be seen? Like combining all intents turns them colorless, embrace all connections and become impermanence. Perhaps, life is not something empty but something full, and that fullness gives it meaning. Perhaps, there's no fundamental difference between emptiness and fullness. Just as the combining of all intents creates the meaning of colorless. Perhaps, combining connections creates the meaning of impermanence. Therefore, I will not die here. Pot, light begins to emanate from my body. The faint mist of accumulating dust forms a mountain, the hazy mist that manifests the canvas of myriad forms and connections shines brightly. That light expels all the light of the heavenly lotus fruit from my body. Ironically, the heavenly lotus fruit was only ever a hindrance to me, apart from replenishing my energy. The nourishment of true immortals became a calamity for me, turning the heavenly lotus fruit into a terrifying heart demon mass. Twitch, twitch, I identify the true nature of the heart demon within the heavenly lotus fruit. More precisely, I realize the cause that gave birth to the heart demon. It's a small, dark red mist. Thinking about it, no matter how ancient and miraculous the heavenly lotus fruit is, it's still the fruit of a tree that sealed the authority of blood yin, the leftover of Yu Hao Te, for tens of thousands of years. There's no way it could have remained untouched by the aura of blood yin. Thinking back, I should have been suspicious from the moment Xiao Wei's tainted soul filling the heavens slipped out from my shadow and activated the blood sacrifice ritual, forming an attraction force with blood yin. Before I knew it, I was led by Xiao Wei to eat the heavenly lotus fruit, which has been contaminated by blood yin. That must have been what created the heart demon. But it doesn't matter. In the end, I found the answer after overcoming the heart demon. Flash, light swirls, and the next moment, I rise to the plane of soul along with the clouds. My entire body, my entire domain, steps fully into the realm beyond the first step. This is the stage that some call the second step before the throne. Within the radiant light, standing firmly in the plane of soul, I draw the sword from within my heart. Without cutting anyone, the sword forms a sword veil Jian Mu, sending Kong Minhe's barrier and the countless vengeful spirits surrounding it flying away with a powerful burst of light. TSTSTSTSTSTSTS. Finally, I charge towards the chest of Kong Minhe, who has grown to the size of a sky island after absorbing the energy of the ghosts within the barrier. Quack, inside Kong Minhe's chest. The darkness formed by ghostly energy is thick and sticky. This darkness is connected to the plane of soul, making it even more of an obstacle for me, who has fully entered the plane of soul. But I pay no mind, piercing through all the obstacles in a straight line and diving deep into her depths. And finally, pot, I arrive at a familiar place, shrouded in misty clouds. Kong Minhe's domain, pure white clouds amidst a boundless sunset. At the center of those clouds, Kong Minhe's true form is crying. She, having turned into a dark shadow, is shedding blue tears. I slowly approach her. Don't come, I hear Kong Minhe's inner voice. I don't want you to get hurt. With my eyes having already entered the realm of the soul, I can perceive even the thoughts she wishes to hide within her heart. Please, just go, pot. As Kong Minhe swings her hand, a powerful repulsive force surges towards me. I continue approaching, undeterred. She unleashes an attack against me. I advance, enduring the assaults. And when I stand just 3 jong away from her, pot, a thorn extending from her body pierces my chest. Kukwik, this thorn, drenched in the energy of death and deeply anchored within the plane of soul, pierces my chest and penetrates through my back, tearing apart my domain and leaving a massive scar. Don't come. And yet, I begin to walk forward. Step, step, even with the thorn embedded in my chest, even as the thorn sinks deeper into my body. Even as she pushes me away, even as she causes me greater pain. Finally, standing before her, I kneel and tightly embrace Kong Minhe. Pot, having reached the realm of the soul, I use only my will to fill Kong Minhe's heart with the sea of righteousness and mountain of grace. She momentarily regains consciousness and cries, "What are you doing, stupid?" Instead of answering, I hug her even tighter. If there is someone who can embrace all the pain and resentment of every departed soul in the world, who will embrace that person's own pain and resentment? Kong Minhe. The phrase, attaining the Tao in the morning, content with death in the evening, does not simply mean using any means necessary to become stronger. Stay still. Don't do it, Xiao Unyun. It means having the courage to throw away one's life, or even something more precious than life, to find one's own path. If you have already found your path, then risking everything to achieve it is, attaining the Tao in the morning, content with death in the evening. The pain of one who embraces the suffering of all, can be given to the embrace of the connection they hold. My path is connection. I'm sorry, everyone. I feel it. Ever since I expelled the heart demon from the heavenly lotus fruit, the being that was trying to take over my body through the heart demon has been overtly exerting its attraction force and trying to come over to this side. The remnants of the heart demon are forming an attraction force between that being and myself. It's highly likely that it's the being who governs the blood yin realm. At this rate, not only me but Kong Minhe and our comrades will all be swept away. To prevent a repeat of the Owner of Great Mountain incident. And, to protect Kong Minhe from suffering, at least in this lifetime. I activate the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. As I offer myself as a sacrifice, the surrounding clouds darken and storm clouds envelop us. Smiling as I hold her, I whisper, "Come down." The next moment, all heavens, Kukwik, the all heavens sword, which I threw into the sky, pierces through the vengeful spirits, the barrier, Kong Minhee's domain, and the storm clouds of the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, descending from the heavens towards her. Beyond seated detachment, standing oblivion, in the realm Jangik calls second step before the throne, my first single strike becomes a pillar of light that pierces us both simultaneously. Holding her, I collapse. With my sword, along with tribulating heavens, I sever the connection felt deep within her soul that reaches the depths of the netherworld, filling the void within her. I smile even amidst the pain. She said life is sorrow. But what does a person live for? A person lives to attain the Tao in the morning. What is the Tao that the person can attain? The name of that Tao is connection. Even if life is full of sorrow, as long as there is connection, it won't be completely sorrowful. That is my 21st return. Chapter 428. 21st Cycle's First Day. The familiar river of time. The familiar seats. Familiar scenes flash before my eyes. And in the next moment. I return. What? Goo. The nether crossing ship crumbles, and at the moment I just grab the heavenly lotus fruit. In other words, what is this? To the very moment just before. I feel my pupils shaking violently. The point of return has been fixed once again. Goo. Up ahead, Kong Minhee, having completely swallowed the nether crossing ship, is leaping towards me again. Why? Just why? My head feels like it's going to explode from the absurdity and strangeness of the situation. Just why has the return point been fixed now? It's so strange and incomprehensible. What exactly are the conditions for this fixation? Can it be that the condition isn't simply ascending from the head realm? More importantly, there's never been a fixation in the interdimensional void until now. Whether it was the flying immortal platform in the vast cold realm or within the vestiges, fixation had always occurred within entities that could be called worlds. However, this time's return fixation was so sudden and bewildering. But this time, the fixation feels so abrupt and bewildering. What's this? For a moment, I feel a disgusting sensation, as if something is thoroughly scanning my body. But when I look around, all I see is Kong Minhee and the last remaining nether crossing ship moving off in the distance. Amidst confusion and bewilderment, I steady my nauseous stomach and focus my mind. There's a lot to think about, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I grab the all-heavens sword. The faint clouds of accumulating dust forms a mountain rise from the sword. I focus all my consciousness on the sword and unleash the single strike gained from rising to a new realm. The faint clouds shine. The clouds softly, yet powerfully, push Kong Minhee away. Sia Weol pulls her from the other side, and as I push, her body begins to gradually cross over towards the astral realm. As expected of Taoist Sio, I had faith in you. Sia Weol smiles faintly from the other side, praising me. And I, too, smile back at him, raising the heavenly lotus fruit in my hand. In my previous life, I didn't notice the malice hidden inside this spirit fruit, but this time it's different. I won't provoke the fragment of blood yin within it. Wu Wang, the heavenly lotus fruit flies toward Kong Minhee, naturally embedding itself into her bosom. Taoist Sio, if you try anything in the astral realm against Kong Minhee, the fragment of their split soul within the heavenly lotus fruit will erode you. Kong Minhee is now being separated from us and is reaching the astral realm, filled with Sio Weols. Who knows what Sio Weol might do to her once she's there. That's why I planted the fragment of blood yin that Sio Weol finds so uncomfortable within her bosom. I have no worries about Kong Minhee being consumed by the blood yin fragment. The chief judge of the netherworld who appeared within Kong Minhee during the last cycle. As long as that entity is connected to Kong Minhee, the fragment of blood yin will remain dormant, without causing any trouble in her possession. I can sense Sio Weol silently watching me beyond the voice transmission without saying a word in response to my statement. It was Sio Weol who nonchalantly joined hands with me and led me to eat the heavenly lotus fruit imbued with the fragment of blood yin. If I hadn't achieved enlightenment and driven out the heart demon, if I hadn't expelled blood yin's split soul, I might not have regressed, but rather have become a mere puppet of blood yin. Clearly, I was backstabbed, but I don't feel entirely bad about it. Because of that situation, I gained enlightenment. But more importantly, by expelling the fragment of blood yin, I became able to speculate about the relationship between blood yin and Seo Whale. Blood yin perceives Seo Whale to be on the same side. However, it seems that Seo Whale finds blood yin extremely uncomfortable, and perhaps even somewhat fearful. Isn't that right, Seo Whale? The something born from blood yin. I realized that Seo Whale is one of the branches extended from blood yin. Thanks to my contact with blood yin's fragments, some knowledge flowed into me, and I could finally understand the mural I saw back on Cherry Blossom Dragon Island. Blood yin used purple soul filling the heavens to give birth to Hyeonium, and Hyeonium's purple soul filling the heavens gave birth to Yaeum, and through Yaeum, the endlessly spread out sea dragon race was born. Thus, the sea dragon race are essentially branches that extend from the tree that is blood yin. Branches of blood yin, and among those branches of blood yin, something twisted, and the very being born from that is Seo Whale. Much like the relationship between me and Seo Lee, it's fair to say he's a clone that came to have self-consciousness. Since a clone can very easily be reabsorbed by the main body if it wishes, it makes sense that Seo Whale finds blood yin and the blood yin realm so uncomfortable and even fears being reabsorbed against his will. Seo Whale stands silently on the side of the astral realm, staring directly at me in response to my words. He no longer lets out his unpleasant, ho-ho, laugh like before. Beyond the scene of the astral realm, Seo Whale, who has become a star, and all the inhabitants of that star stare up at me with expressionless faces, a sight that's rather a chilling sight. However, I don't feel bad at all. Can you even offer an excuse for what you intended by planting the fragment of blood yin inside me? At my words, all the Seo Whales reach out their hands toward me in silence. Blink. From the hands of the Seo Whales, a single eyeball appears. The bastard is clearly trying to brainwash me. You said you wouldn't betray me until the alliance is broken. Every word that comes out of your mouth is a lie. Seo Whale replies to my accusation. This time, it wasn't a lie. It was a vow sworn on my very essence. Then, if we were never on the same side in the first place, how could it be called betrayal, Taoist Seo? Ha ha, oh Seo Whale, I raise the all-heaven sword. Having pushed away Kong Min-hee, the recoil propels me towards where my comrades have gone. I am flying back to the interior of the bright cold realm, falling into the Heart Tribe territory. Having just risen to a new realm, I can currently use about 3-second step before the throne moves. But since I used accumulating dust forms a mountain once to push Kong Min-hee away, I have only 2 left. 2 is sufficient. No, sufficient isn't quite right. Zoom, it's excessive. In the astral realm, Seo Whale joins forces with Ohai Seo and seizes control of the power of the stars. The bastard's attraction force that pulled Kong Min-hee completely into the astral realm is now binding me as well. At the same time, the eyes in the hands of those reaching out to me burn bright red. I imbue my heart into my sword. What is the ultimate meaning of swordsmanship? Ask any martial artist from the head realm, Kim Young-hoon, or even cultivators like Hong Soo Ryong who have mastered sword divine powers, and their answer will be the same. The Tao of the Heart Sword, Shinji-en-ji Tao. The realm where one moves the sword of the heart. Because that is the ultimate realm every sword practitioner dreams of. When it comes to imagining the highest realm, there is no distinction between martial artists and cultivators. Sword practitioners devote their entire lives to reaching that realm through the sword. I obtained the formless sword after rising from entering heavens beyond the path, taking a step closer to the heart sword, and obtaining the all-heavens sword brought me even closer. Yet, even after reaching seated detachment, entering hope, the Tao of the heart sword seemed endlessly distant. But the moment I rose to this realm called second step before the throne, I finally realized. The heart sword is truly right before my eyes. The peak of the seemingly endless towering mountain begins to reveal itself. Sword practitioners who pursue the heart sword must each find their own answer to reach it. And my answer is this. What is the heart sword? The heart sword is a sword that cuts with only the heart. How can there be such a thing in this world that can cut with only the heart? The answer is simple. To cut a heart, all you need is the heart itself. The will to cut, whispered to me by the formless sword and the all-heaven sword, becomes one with me completely. I pierce through Seo Whale from the plane of soul with the will to cut. Quack. Beyond the scenery of the astral realm, one of the countless Seo Whale's eyes returns to normal. His tainted soul filling the heavens was cut. But that isn't the end. Quack, quack, quack. Starting with the first Seo Whale who was cut, like how his tainted soul filling the heavens spreads contagiously, the heart sword begins to infect him. The single strike of seated detachment, entering hope is a form of heart language that conveys one's own heart to the opponent. Condensing one's own heart to influence the opponent is the very essence of the seated detachment, entering hope single strike. Once one becomes accustomed to delivering their heart to the opponent, they can unleash single strike after single strike of this realm. Then, what kind of attack can one unleash from the realm beyond, where the heart can fire endlessly? Try to escape. COAO. People exchange hearts and change at every moment. Therefore, the me from 1 second ago is inevitably different from the me a second later. You won't escape so easily. The heart sword I've displayed is based on the concept that, when people meet, they change, engraving my heart sword into the opponent's heart. With the sword energy, the opponent's heart is endlessly cut. There's only one way to escape from this heart sword. By calming the change created by meeting me, only then can one escape from the heart sword. To put it simply in one sentence, from the moment you're struck by this heart sword, the structure is such that if you even think of me, your heart will be cut by sword energy. To escape from the heart sword, you must completely forget me, the one who shot the heart sword, and maintain a pure, empty heart. Of course, the difficulty of that is akin to being told, don't think of an elephant, and immediately not thinking of one. Even the heart tribe, who dedicate their entire lives to training the heart, would find this far from easy. This is my answer for reaching the true Tao of the heart sword. The peak of the heart grows more rugged the more one thinks of it. Severing mountain swordsmanship, 30-second move. Sub-heart sword Yashin Jian. This is transcending mountain ridge embedment Ling Yu Yu Qian. They say when you gaze into the abyss gazes back at you. The heart sword I created while thinking of Caol is eerily similar to his tainted soul filling the heavens. ... Exclamation mark. Kugugugugu. Caol's tainted soul filling the heavens, numbering in the hundreds of millions, begins to be slashed apart all at once. His brainwashing wave is certainly dangerous. Dangerous enough to even brainwash me. But what if I cut down that very will before he can even release those waves? The sword of my heart that I send forth cuts through the Caols who think of me. Like the shocks you the moment you recognize it, gaze or name of a true immortal. Akin to such entities, the more Caol thinks of me, the deeper my heart sword pierces into his tainted soul filling the heavens. Gradually, the scenery of the astral realm fades. With a final glimpse of Kong Min-hee, who has fallen into the astral realm, and Caol writhing in agony from the heart sword, I smile as I fall into the dimensional veil of the bright cold realm. Thunk. I sense that Caol, through some means, has escaped my sub-heart sword. But I do not worry. Because undoubtedly, the form of the sub-heart sword's transcending mountain ridge embedment is a fatal blow he will never recover from. Next time, pray you don't meet me, Caol. Using the sub-heart sword and purple soul filling the heavens, I now have confidence that I can uncover Caol's main body. Quack. Following the traces of the nether crossing ship that my comrades have passed, I enter the dimensional barrier of the bright cold realm, and as I fall towards the heart tribe territory below, I let out a hollow smile. The sudden fixation of this moment in time. Though I still don't fully understand the incomprehensible laws of regression, deep inside, I feel immense gratitude. Because I have drawn even closer to those I wish to protect. Next time, I will be able to save Kong Min-hee. There's nothing standing in my way now. In the span of 300 years, I will undoubtedly reach the star-shattering stage and save her no matter what. Cough. Blood mixes with my cough. Perhaps it's because I unleashed a fairly excessive single strike shortly after reaching this realm, but my entire body starts to lose strength. Yet, even though I can't move a single finger, a faint smile spreads across my face. I've finally reached it. I've finally reached the realm that Jang Ik calls the second step before the throne. The entering heavens beyond the path martial arts, created by Kim Young-hoon, is a formula that sings of hope. It's a formula that proves life is joy and expresses the joy of training in martial arts. Feeling the deepest sense of overwhelming joy among all the emotions I've felt throughout my endless years of training martial arts. And resonating with the formula of entering heavens beyond the path martial arts more than ever. I fall towards the heart tribe territory. Translator notes. I should have translated it as seated detachment, entering hope since a while back, but I completely forgot about it. Chapter 429, Hurt 1. Thump, 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 thump. The beating of a heart is audible. Blink. I blink. For some reason, I feel a soft sensation from the back of my head. Ah, you're awake. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. I can't help but flinch for a moment. Swoosh. It's Buk Hyunghwa. She's giving me a lap pillow while working on something. Upon closer inspection, it looks like she's drawing a blueprint for some magic artifacts. Quote. Where is this? What's the situation? I try to spread my consciousness but quickly realize that my soul is still strained, so I ask her instead. I used too much mental energy cutting down tainted soul filling the heavens. They say if you stare into the abyss stares back at you. Or that those who slay monsters slowly become monsters themselves. These words hold true. The very nature of transcending mountain ridge embedment is influenced by tainted soul filling the heavens, and even though it's meant to deal with it, it seems that's precisely why I had to exert so much mental energy. Sia Whale's murky, dark, and hollow heart is too similar to my own heart essence. Because of that, I had to expend significant mental strength to avoid falling to heart demons while cutting down tainted soul filling the heavens. Throb. I clutch my head as I get up, and Buk Hyunghwa supports me while explaining the situation. We're currently in a guest room within the Heart Tribe territory, specifically in the Cedar Wood Grove, Shan Mukong. Cedar Wood Grove, it seems we arrived safely. What's the current situation? The Heart Tribe's Supreme Council nearly started a war after the human race teleported here, but for now, Sir Younghoon and Yeon Unni, who possess Heart Tribe qualities, are mediating. Especially since there are talks going around that the cult leader is an outstanding member of the Heart Tribe, the Supreme Council said they would meet the cult leader first before determining the fate of the human race. Quote. My shoulders are heavy. I smile bitterly and speak to Buk Hyunghwa. That aside, let's stop with the title of cult leader. How can there be a cult leader without a cult? Then, just something casual. I'm about to tell her to call me something casual, but I suddenly realize that in this life, my relationship with Buk Hyunghwa has always been that of the cult leader and conqueror king. And as that thought crosses my mind, I realize a truth I have been trying to ignore since meeting Buk Hyunghwa. From the start, ours is a relationship that can never be casual. I gaze at Buk Hyunghwa with slight discomfort. She is a complicated figure for me. She is the same person as the Buk Hyunghwa from my 10th life, yet at the same time, she is not. Being with her means constantly seeing the shadow of her 10th cycle self standing behind her. The past and present versions of her are different individuals, but as a person, I can't see her as a completely different being. Because of that, I can't treat her purely as this life's Buk Hyunghwa. That's why I've avoided creating opportunities to face her directly. But somehow, we ended up in a moment like this, facing each other alone. Opening and closing my mouth, I finally settle on a proper title. Taoist. Just call me Taoist CEO. No. Since I am no longer a cult leader, please do so. I consider my current position and decide to address her respectfully, as I used to. However, she responds somewhat awkwardly. You can just speak comfortably. After all, you are an elder and my senior. Quote. The mention of elder makes me feel somewhat sad, but I shake my head and reply. Before, our relationship within the organization dictated a certain formality, but now that we walk the same path of immortal cultivation, it's only right that I show respect. If that's what you wish. I understand. Taoist CEO. She tilts her head slightly, looking a bit awkward as she calls me Taoist. For a moment, silence hangs between us. Do you have something to say, miss? Reading the subtle emotions on her face, I ask her. At my question, she hesitates for a moment before speaking. I have one thing I'm curious about, Taoist CEO. She shows me the blueprint she's been drawing beside me. This is, looking closely, it's not exactly a magic artifact blueprint but rather a kind of system, similar to the Mad Lord's circuits. However, while it seems influenced by the Mad Lord, it clearly appears to be something entirely unique. A remarkable artifact system. What type of artifact system is this for? This is a system for analyzing chi and projecting scenes. Oh, like a vid. A few hundred years ago, Taoist CEO gave me this. She gently strokes the jade norige hanging from her waist. Quote. Ever since the day Taoist CEO gave this to me, I've been studying it, and I've discovered that this norige is always connected to somewhere. And when I focus my consciousness, I can shift my consciousness to somewhere filled with thick, hazy mist through this norige. Recently, after meeting Taoist CEO, I realized that the place of hazy mist is within your canvas of myriad forms and connections. Buk Hyunghwa looks directly into my eyes as she speaks. Until now, Taoist CEO has never properly answered why that is. That's why I've been researching it all this time. After meeting Senior Mad Lord, I was able to grasp a significant clue. A technique that disassembles chi and traces a target's past. Quote. With this, I plan to trace the causality between Taoist Seo's canvas of myriad forms and connections and my Norige. I quickly realize what she plans to do. Just like what Ohai Seo did. Or what the Black Dragon Immortal Beast did. She plans to trace my past and uncover the truth behind the Norige. But as seen in the cases of both the Black Dragon Immortal Beast and Ohai Seo, the secret of the canvas of myriad forms and connections is not something that can be easily unraveled. Both of them have the authority to trace the past, yet they still failed. In other words, unless Buk Hyunghwa's abilities surpass those of the Black Dragon Immortal Beast, I don't have to worry about her discovering my secret. However, since I understand why she's saying this to me directly, I can't carelessly dismiss her actions as being useless. If it's the eyes of Taoist Seo, you probably know why I'm telling you this right now. Since you possess the same eyes as Sir Young-hoon. Quote. Behind her subtle heart essence lies overwhelming despair and sorrow. And a deep determination. Please don't ask me for the reason. But I will say this, uncovering the truth about the Norige is one of my deepest wishes, so I won't give up easily. In other words, she is implying that if I don't want her to challenge and uncover the past between me and the Norige, I'd better tell her the truth. But I can't. In this world, I've come to painfully realize that speaking something aloud holds tremendous impact. So I respond vaguely. Quote. This is related to true immortals, so I can't speak of it lightly. If mishandled, Mrs. Life could be at risk. It's fine. She looks at me as if life and death doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter, so if there's anything you can tell me, please do. Quote. It's something I cannot speak of. Please understand. Quote. I understand. She nods, seemingly bitter. I guess I'll just have to do what I can, to the best of my ability. Miss Buck, then, please excuse me. I will take my leave. Please rest and join us when Taoist Seo is ready. With those words, Buk Hyunghwa turns and swiftly exits the guest room. Seeing her heart essence, I feel conflicted. I gradually feel my consciousness domain and authority returning, transcending space to the outside of the guest room. I head towards the place where chi and intent are clashing. There, centered around Kim Young-hoon, 22 shadows are colliding their intents. Churarararik, the martial scene they are painting momentarily shakes my foresight. Each one of them can be considered masters who have reached the ultimate of martial arts. They are confronting Kim Young-hoon, who is specialized in speed, using their own secret techniques, and they bombard him with moves that keep up without falling behind. On the surface, it looks as if the projections of the Heart Tribe's Supreme Council are just standing still around Kim Young-hoon, but with my vision, having reached the plane of soul, I can see the massive currents of intent raging. Normally, their will alone should have stirred up an overwhelming storm in reality, but everyone here is restraining themselves to the point where not even a speck of energy leaks out. They are competing purely in skill, so the battle of intent occurring at the plane of soul is not affecting the physical world at all. Yi-an. Yes. Kim Yi-an quietly appears beside me the moment I speak, and I raise an eyebrow. Centered around the demon core within her body, I see that her intent has perfectly balanced into 9 strands. If this were before, I would have missed that movement. It isn't a matter of martial skill or realm. Martial artists accelerate their minds through techniques like Ultimate Pinnacle, but cultivators beyond the nascent soul stage can simply accelerate their minds through their vast consciousness. They don't even need to divide their consciousness into forms like a gang sphere clone and then merge them again. By just compressing their consciousness, their mind gradually accelerates. This is how cultivators at the nascent soul stage and beyond use techniques like the flying escape technique to fight at high speeds in battle. The hidden consciousness technique, given to me by Mad Lord, similarly compresses my consciousness to accelerate my senses, allowing me to feel spiritual energy through the spiritual route. So, compressing consciousness itself is a way to accelerate the mind. Currently, with her demon core as the center, Kim Yi-an is aligning her consciousness, like the demon race, and compressing it, adding a tenfold acceleration to her already compressed consciousness. Before even considering the level of her cultivation, albeit through a somewhat abnormal growth, she now possesses speed surpassing the integration stage. If she's already this fast with Ultimate Pinnacle, which allows consciousness to simply become speed. If she reaches entering heavens beyond the path, where consciousness can be directly converted into power, what kind of authority will Kim Yi-an wield? Suddenly, I become curious. Of course, entering heavens beyond the path isn't something that can be solved just by pouring in time, so it's hard to say how long it will take. I set away my thoughts about the distant, uncertain future and speak to her. Do you know how long I've been unconscious? It's been exactly 3 days. It's also been a while since we came to the Heart Tribe territory to avoid Minhyani, and the human race has been in a psychological warfare with the Heart Tribe's Supreme Council to find a place to settle while waiting for you to wake up. TLN. Kim Yeon uses Dangsan, which means you, but it has the nuanced meaning of dear, between spouses, being polite or formal, or being disrespectful or confrontational. Quote. Something has changed. I glance at Kim Yeon with a sense of strangeness. The way she addresses me has subtly changed. It isn't the Yun Oppa she comfortably used before. It feels like she's keeping a distance, yet at the same time, it seems she's even closer to me. Kim Yeon continues explaining. Because of Minhyani, the original human race territory has become a land of ghosts where no living being can survive, just like the Nether Ghost Realm. Other territories near the human race lands that were suitable for human habitation have ended up the same way. As a result, the Nether Ghost Realm is also preparing to invade the Bright Cold Realm. They say it will take about 1,000 years to restore the land to its original state. However, according to the judgment of the Grand Cultivator Association, the rampaging Minhyani, in other words the ghost-guiding Holy Mother, will inevitably return to the Bright Cold Realm within a few hundred years due to the attraction force between her and the realm. It means that in the end, we've completely lost our original foundation. And a beast that has lost its den will eventually find a new one. It seems the human race wants the Heart Tribe territory as their new home. Yes, the Heart Tribe territory is in the Chaos Realm, so even if Minhyani returns, it won't be easy for her to find it. Moreover, it's one of the stable lands within the Chaos Realm, so they believe it's a safe place to live. That's why the Grand Cultivator Association is proposing to expel all of the Heart Tribe from the Heart Tribe territory and take over. Quote. Foolish. I click my tongue. It's a land that Jangik stabilized in the first place, so what do they plan to do when Jangik returns? Jangik himself is supposed to return in a few hundred years. As I click my tongue, Kim Yeon continues her explanation. But the entire Grand Cultivator Association was brutally defeated by the Heart Tribe Supreme Council, and Younghoon Sunbae alone is dealing with the aftermath to prevent the entire human race from being annihilated. Quote. They recklessly stretched out their legs without even properly checking where they were going to lie down. They've underestimated the Heart Tribe far too much. The 22 members of the Supreme Council. They must be Jang Ike's 22 disciples. I can sense it. Each one of them is a supreme expert of seated detachment, entering hope. In other words, there are 22 people who can unleash a single strike at the Grand Perfection integration level during emergencies. Moreover, among them must be some at a higher level who can unleash consecutive Grand Perfection integration level single strikes. The Heart Tribe is one of the 3 great powers of the Bright Cold Realm. If one considers that the 6 great races of the Heaven Tribe account for 60% of the Heaven Tribe's power, while the other races make up 40%, then the current strength of humanity is only around 1/10 of the Heaven Tribes. Even though the Heart Tribe is the weakest of the 3 great powers, they still have enough strength to overpower the human race, which is just a part of the Heaven Tribe. Step. While I'm silently assessing the human race, someone approaches from a distance. It's a maiden with white hair and red eyes, wearing light armor of violet and white. You've woken up. I pause, trying to recall who she is, and eventually, her identity comes to mind. Quote. Cultivator Gal. Her identity is none other than Gal Mike of the Grand Cultivator Association. Since she usually hides her body within her rugged bone armor, it took me a moment to recognize her in this state with just her body. Kim Yeon, seeing her, explains further. The entire Grand Cultivator Association is currently imprisoned by the Heart Tribe, except for Grand Cultivator Gal Mike. She was the only one who fiercely opposed fighting against the Heart Tribe. Gal Mike sighs and speaks. Quote. It was simply a rational decision. Aside from me, none of the other Grand Cultivators, except for Hun Won and Wee Ryong Son, have ever directly fought against the Heart Tribe. Even then, Wee Ryong Son only fought against Heart Tribe members below the 2nd stage of manifestation, and Hun Won, who has some proper fighting experience against them, is currently unconscious due to an internal clash of yin and yang energy. That's why the others didn't realize how terrifying the Heart Tribe is and rushed in recklessly, only to end up imprisoned. Quote. That's strange. The grand cultivators must have lived for at least thousands of years. How could they not have experience fighting against the Heart tribe, nor understand their fearsomeness? I'm puzzled, but I understand immediately after Mike speaks. Most of those who fought even once against a Heart tribe of the third stage of manifestation or higher died before they could rise to the rank of Grand Cultivator. Quote. Indeed, even ordinary cultivators are struck by 2,400 strands of heavenly tribulation when advancing to the integration stage. However, if they have a history of fighting against a Heart tribe at the third stage of manifestation, the number of heavenly tribulation strands increases to 3,600 without question. Even if they manage to fight after reaching the integration stage, once they've fought, they would never be able to attempt another advancement again. Thus, it might be that reaching the position of Grand Cultivator is only possible if you avoid fighting the Heart tribe. In any case, Sir Young-hoon is currently communicating with the Heart Tribe Supreme Council to prevent the entire Grand Cultivator Association from being executed. Communicating, I look at them exchanging scenes furiously with intent, blending in enlightenment. It is a form of communication, I suppose. And, as I briefly look toward Kim Young-hoon and the Supreme Council, Mike bows deeply to me. Please forgive us for not fully grasping the Elder's true intentions earlier. In the end, you were right. Elder is the savior of all humanity. I merely did what had to be done. It seems even the Grand Cultivator Association has come to understand what I did. How could the salvation of humanity be something that's merely what had to be done? Your merits will be remembered for generations to come. Thanks. And, if I may ask for one favor, please ensure that Sir Young-hoon remains safe. She looks at me as she speaks. Although it seems he is communicating with the Supreme Council, should things go wrong, only the Elder saving him can ensure the future for our human race. Indeed, no matter how exceptional a martial artist Kim Young-hoon is, if he were to duel with the leaders of the Heart tribe, who have a history of being abused by humans, there's a chance they might try to kill him. Though, that doesn't seem likely from the look of things right now. Currently, the Supreme Council of the Heart tribe, who are sparring with Kim Young-hoon, are all feeling excitement, admiration, and respect. It doesn't seem like such a request is necessary. Alright, if Kim Young-hoon is in danger, I will step in. Thank you, I accept the proposal, feeling like I'm clearing a debt. Mike thanks me several times, then hurries off, saying she'll deliver the good news to the Grand Cultivator Association. For a moment, I stand next to Kim Yeon, watching Kim Young-hoon spar. Kim Yeon, having a level of sight around entering heavens due to the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. And me, for both of us, the spar using intent is as clear as day, like watching fireworks. We can fully observe the exchange of intent between Kim Young-hoon and the Supreme Council of the Heart tribe. As I watch the display of fireworks, I turn to Kim Yeon and speak. Yeon, yes, you have something to say, don't you? I ask while sensing Kim Yeon's emotions. Though she's pretending to be fine, her mind is so devastated that it feels like she might collapse at any moment. Her sudden change in how she addresses me must be related to this. Kim Yeon takes a deep breath. Beside me, it seems she's trying to control the overwhelming emotions welling up inside her. After a moment of gathering herself, Kim Yeon slowly reveals a shocking truth. At last, I understand why Buk Hyung-hwa came to me with that request earlier. Hyung-hwa, she's going to die soon. Chapter 430, Hurt 2. Pot. Sparks fly as Kim Young-hoon lets out a joyful laugh, beads of sweat running down his face. Swoosh. The wind sweeps through Cedarwood Grove, cooling the heat of the sparring match. I stand in the breeze, waiting for Kim Yeon's words. The Mad Lord told me. When she went to his wonderfully mysterious fortress. Her words continue, and I listen silently. After some time, the members of the Supreme Council, having finished their sparring with Kim Young-hoon, all turn their heads toward me in unison. We've heard much about you. That you've reached this realm through the same means as us, despite having the body of the Heaven tribe. After absorbing all of Kim Yeon's explanation, I silently take a step towards the Supreme Council of the Heart tribe. Thunk. With just a single step, the members of the Supreme Council who had been directing their intent at me freeze in place. They stare at me, frozen, and even Kim Young-hoon beyond them shares the same reaction. Kim Young-hoon's eyes are wide enough to pop out of his head. I look at them calmly, letting my sword hang by my side. A slight nod. No words are needed. With a mere nod of my head, light flashes, and the 22 leaders of the Supreme Council, who only sent projections to face Kim Young-hoon, reveal their main bodies within the hall. We nearly failed to recognize a high person, Gao Ren. Please forgive us. I simply continue to gaze at them silently. But even though I'm merely looking at them, they tremble all over, unable to bear the pressure of my presence and on the verge of collapsing. In that state, I take another silent step forward. At that moment, most of the 22 members of the Supreme Council start trembling violently, falling to their knees and collapsing in place. It seems that upon gazing directly at my soul, which has realized the sub-heart sword, none of them are able to maintain their composure. The sub-heart sword is something beyond comprehension for those around the level of entering heavens beyond the path or treading heavens. However, the very fact that they are at a high realm means they can see too much, making the shock all the more overwhelming. Kim Young-hoon, in particular, seems the most affected, as he grips his saber against the ground, cold sweat pouring down his face uncontrollably. But indeed, they are the leaders of the Heart tribe. Despite being directly exposed to my overwhelming presence, they manage to stand and regain their composure. I shift my gaze towards the 5 among them who respond best to my pressure. Their appearances are unimpressive. A little one from the small person race, a flower plant race with a body shriveled like a spinach leaf, a shrimp shell race that resembles a shrimp, a miniature monkey race that looks like a small, baby monkey, and a tiny fungal race that resembles a mushroom. Yet despite their frail appearances, they seem more formidable than anyone else present. Among them, one figure stands out the most. He is of the small person race, standing no more than 1 palm's length, a dwarf Heart tribe. The small person race is one of the well-known slave races, resembling the human race but far weaker and possessing little to no supernatural powers, making them easy prey and often captured and kept as pets. Yet, the elderly small person race standing before me with his face covered in scars doesn't appear small at all. Holding a needle like a sword in his hand, the small person race elder looks up at me and speaks. "Teach me a move." Ha! With the old man's shout, the 5 members of the Heart tribe charge at me with a unified cry. From this point, words are no longer needed. Their combined assault begins. Pot! The small person race elder, wielding his needle like a sword, executes a sword technique before me and waves his toothpick-sized needle. Though it appears somewhat cute, the outcome is far from that. Tong! As I deflect the slash from the old dwarf's needle upwards, the sky splits apart. A move similar to sky-splitting Kim Young-hoon shown before. An all-out strike carried out with the intent to cut through the entire Heart tribe territory. The withered body of the flower plant race seems to be flying over me before striking down at me using the 1,000-pound drop technique. Swoosh! As I sidestep using footwork, a flash of light follows, and the spot where the flower plant race lands with the 1,000-pound drop explodes, causing the surrounding terrain to shift and change violently. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo. In the midst of the explosive brilliance, I calmly raise my sword and turn my gaze towards the shrimp shell race charging at me. They seem to be a boxer, and with their shrimp-like body, they thrust both fists toward me. It's clearly a laughable scene, appearing nothing more than a shrimp flailing its arms. But I smile faintly and swing my sword with all my strength. Coo-goo-goo-ging. Pot! As my single strike clashes with the shrimp shell race boxer's punch, a formless shockwave blankets the entire area. It feels as though all sound in the area has been erased. The shockwave causes my body to lose function for a moment, and a ringing, pee, sound fills my ears. Bo Wang. Of course, I quickly regain my balance and prepare for the next attack. The baby monkey-like miniature monkey race rushes at me, grabbing hold of the ground beneath my feet. Fuong. Simultaneously, they swing the very ground I'm standing on, throwing me off balance. The mushroom-looking tiny fungal race stretches out both palms toward me. Kijijijijik. Their palms are filled with an immense concentration of chi, and I can feel that everything within that energy is rapidly disintegrating, nearing the point of annihilation. Behind me, the small person race elder. Above me, the flower plant race warrior. Below my feet, the miniature monkey race. In front of me, the tiny fungal race and shrimp shell race boxers. They are all closing in on me. Beyond them, the remaining 17 leaders of the Supreme Council, having assessed the situation, are attempting to distract my vision by disrupting me from a distance. Those who have awakened to the manifestation of sound arts like Yuwa begin their performance. With the sharp sound of a gaegeum, a traditional Korean zither, my body is immediately slashed, and an inescapable formless net covers me, making my whole body feel as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Darkness clouds my vision, and the blood flowing through my body grows hot, leaving me in a state unable to control my body. And in that state, I silently extend my sword and begin to dance with them. Tong! My sword hums as it deflects their attacks, sometimes redirecting them, and other times countering them. It seeps out. My sword naturally flows into the center of their formation, like a stream slipping between rocks. In the midst of our sword dance, we become completely united. I can feel their intent. The exultation of facing an opponent beyond comparison and competing against a master. Joy, excitement, reverence, and respect. I envelop their intent with my own. I overlay their martial arts with my own martial arts. It feels bleak, painful, miserable, suffocating. The vision is black. The Grand Cultivator Association gave me the nickname, Sword Devil. I have no interest in such a grim title, but at least in this moment, I think it suits me all too well. That's how much my sword right now is steeped in dreadful screams and heartbreak. A hollow yet dreadful sword movement spirals within my refined swordsmanship as I intertwine with the Supreme Masters of the Heart Tribe Supreme Council. Kim Yeon's earlier words echo faintly in my mind. When the Mad Lord first met Hyunghwa, he mistook her for one of his own bloodline. The old man with the needle lands at the tip of my sword, spins 7 times counterclockwise, and unleashes a powerful slash with the accumulated rotational force. He said that in the head realm, the extraordinary pattern law talent is actually a heavenly penalty tianxing that only his bloodline bears. Using my right foot as a pivot, I spin clockwise, shaking off the elder and dispersing the rotational force of the slash he sent flying. But he quickly realized that Hyunghwa isn't of his bloodline. He said that those with the extraordinary pattern law talent all bear a curse, and since the curses differ depending on the bloodline, Hyunghwa not having the same curse as his is proof that she isn't of his kin. Wu Wang. My sword vibrates. I continue sparring with the Supreme Council without using any chi. However, my emotions are being expressed through my swordsmanship, and my pain descends from the plane of soul to the plane of chi. The surroundings gradually begin to be engulfed by devilish energy. The Mad Lord said that the extraordinary pattern law talent is like a bird trapped in a cage. A bird that cannot leave the cage. It's the first time I heard it, but he said those with the extraordinary pattern law talent must never leave the world they were born in. Their heavenly penalty and curse begins the moment they escape their world. In other words, those born with the extraordinary pattern law talent in the lower realms must never ascend. The surroundings are painted in darkness, and my sword energy slices through the air in all directions. Without drawing upon the energy within me or the heaven and earth spiritual energy, my sheer intensity causes my intent at the plane of soul to descend to the plane of chi, transforming into turbid energy. Amidst the torrent of devilish energy, a golden radiance pieces through between the 22 intents surrounding me. Kawang. Kim Young-hoon, unable to resist any longer, has stepped into the fray. But I push Kim Young-hoon's saber aside and recklessly unleash a barrage of sword energy. The curse of the Zhou clan is said to be tied to their surname. I'm not sure of the details, but even though Hyunghwa's curse is different, they do share some common points. The sword dance that started with clam emotions has at some point turned into a killing sword. I struggle to suppress the rising dark emotions within me, pouring more killing intent into my blade. Those cursed are said to eventually die. The Mad Lord connected his heart with hers and forcibly tethered his soul to this land using the ghostly energy of the Nether Crossing ship's power source. And Hyunghwa is Kong. My sword sends the old man with the needle flying. And finally, flash. The sword pressure unfolding from my sword spreads out, knocking back the 22 members of the Heart Tribe Supreme Council along with Kim Young-hoon, allowing me to finally calm down. Gradually losing the senses of her body. At this rate, not in centuries, but within mere decades, she'll lose all her 5 senses. Eventually, even the sense of breathing will vanish, and she'll die. Clench. I thrust the sword into the ground. Ha. I exhale. My chest feels tight. Right now, there's no connection between me and Buck Hyunghwa. But strangely, my chest still feels heavy. I know the reason all too well. Even though the woman in this life is different from the one from the 10th life, witnessing her death again is agonizing. No, that's not it. To be precise, it's not just that. How many times has it been already? It wasn't long ago that I lost my followers to Great Mountain, or that I died while holding Kong Minhee in my arms. And now, once again, it's been decided that one of my connections is going to disappear. Yes, this is loneliness. The dam of emotions, which had always struggled with the pain of losing connections, is now beginning to overflow with the finality of Buck Hyunghwa's terminal fate. Squeeze. I grip the colorless glass sword tightly and slowly suppress my complicated emotions. And at that moment, the Heart Tribe Supreme Council, led by the small person race elder, bows deeply to me. It's an honor to witness such incredible skill. I'm ashamed. I give a bitter smile, unable to meet their eyes, nor those of Kim Yi-an watching from behind me. I simply look up at the sky and speak. I failed to control my emotions, and turbid energy tainted my sword path. Is that so? Aren't you going to ask why? If you wish to tell us, go ahead. Most of us in the Heart Tribe have lived under abuse and torment, carrying 100 or even 1,000 pains within us. Thus, in Cedarwood Grove, we do not have the custom of prying into each other's hearts. Thank you. Looking at those who show me such courtesy, I feel embarrassed, yet overwhelmed by anger, sorrow, and indescribable panic. I lower my head, trembling. Seeing me like this, the small person race elder smiles gently and says, "In any case, after exchanging blades, I understand. Neither you nor that person are evil. Even though you could unsteady your heart, you never resorted to a killing move in the end. Respecting your kind heart, we of Cedarwood Grove will accept you and the surpassing radiant divine demon as members of our forest. I thank you once again, but I calm my troubled heart, unsettled by thoughts of Buk Hyung-hwa, and ask a question. What do you plan to do about the human race? In the end, that is the biggest issue. What we just competed in was a pure martial contest, and that's the only reason I won. If we were to truly go all out, I would be the one who would surely lose. Why? Wo Wang. They're all disciples of Jang Ik. Within their heart essence, as if it's the most natural thing, Jang Ike's Padao is embedded in each of them. At their level, they are skilled enough to sufficiently draw out Jang Ike's Padao through their own will and wield it with Jang Ike's original power. In short, the moment I decide to oppose them, I will have to endure at least 22 single strikes at the star-shattering stage. Wu Wang. I observe the energy within me. I've reached the second step before the throne. Now, it is possible for me to use star-shattering level attacks. Of course, only for about 3 moves. It will still take much more time before I can become fully accustomed to this realm. As such, in my current relationship with the Heart Tribe, I can only take the position of the weaker party. At my question, they seem to exchange glances before responding. Normally, we would go through a trial before carrying out a sentence. How is the trial conducted? It's simple. It proceeds according to one's cultivation realm. For the grand cultivators at the integration stage and the old monsters at the 4-axis stage, our Supreme Council conducts a duel with them, during which we uncover their emotions and ideologies, essence, and past deeds. If any evil acts are revealed in the process, we execute them immediately. For those at the Heavenly Being stage and Nascent Soul stage, they are made to face the wall for 10 days while undergoing interrogation. Anyone who shows suspicious signs during this process is sentenced to death. From the core formation stage onwards, we conduct a more detailed inquiry, dividing the types of execution based on the severity of their sins. This ranges from a merciful beheading to harsher punishments like imprisonment until death or execution by boiling. For those at the Chi building stage, we subject them to a proper interrogation period, where those who have committed heinous offenses face death, while those with fewer crimes are sentenced to imprisonment or hard labor. Chi refining cultivators are generally sentenced to labor. There's too many executions. There's no other choice, is there? To us, the Heaven Tribe and the Earth Tribe are not targets for rehabilitation or salvation but subjects of judgment. If someone is truly innocent and has never unjustly tormented the weak, even if they are a grand cultivator at the integration stage who practices devilish arts, we do not punish them. The small person race elder lets out a faint laugh and adds. Of course, when it comes to the human race, one of the 6 great Heaven Tribe races, even if they are Chi refining cultivators, the vast majority take the sacrifices of others as if it's something completely natural, trampling over them. Most of the human race is evil. His words are full of contempt, but I can't deny them. The sheer number of vengeful souls Kong Min he absorbed in the human race territory alone is enough to hint at the depth of humanity's sins. Still, I look at the small person race elder and ask. If you truly intended to do such a thing, you would have wiped out the human race before I even woke up. Yet, you waited, and only after I came out did you inform me of all this. Doesn't that mean there's something you want from me? At my words, the small person race elder smiles. You are correct. Tell me what you want. In response to my words, the elder bows politely and says. I understand that you did not use your full strength in our earlier sparring match. That is true. If I really used my full power, the Heart Tribe territory would have been completely destroyed, leaving no one, Heart Tribe or otherwise, alive. Please exchange a genuine single strike with one of us. What? If one of us can face your true strike, we will delay our judgment of humanity's sins. I can sense the burning desire in their eyes. The chance to face a master of a higher realm is extremely rare for us. Especially since we've already reached the pinnacle of the first step before the throne. Don't you agree, oh esteemed one? I momentarily open and close my mouth at their words, then gaze at them with a gloomy expression as I speak. I'm sorry, I respect your enlightenment, I also have the desire to compete with you. However, now is not the time. Why not? My state of mind is unstable. If I get serious, I might end up killing you. I have only recently lost my followers to Great Mountain. And I only recently held Kong Minhee in my arms as I committed suicide. Now, on top of that, I learned of Buk Hyungwa's terminal diagnosis. One after another, all my connections are leaving my side. SSSSSSSSSs. As I recall that fact, turbid energy, ghostly energy, and devilish energy once again rise around me. I don't want to kill those who have treated me as a guest. Please, if possible, come to me after I've calmed my heart. Upon hearing my words, the faces of the 22 Supreme Council leaders all twist into expressions as menacing as evil spirits. Oh esteemed one, may I say something? As much as you wish. We dare not claim to understand how you feel, esteemed one. No, none of us can truly understand each other's feelings. The words of the old man from the small person race are quite amusing. Isn't it because we possess the ability to read others' heart essences that we are called the Heart Tribe? Yet, from the mouth of one from the Heart Tribe, who possesses this sight, comes the words that one cannot truly understand another's feelings. It's a strange statement. I think I understand, but somehow, I feel like I can understand his words. We possess the eyes to peer into the heart, but no matter how much we read, it's merely an outward reflection. It's impossible to truly stand in someone else's shoes and offer genuine comfort. That's why, in our Cedarwood Grove, not only is it an unspoken rule not to pry into others' emotions, but we also forbid offering careless consolation. Comforting someone is only permissible between those who share a deep connection. He meets my gaze. Thus none of us will comfort you, esteemed one. None of us will claim to understand your heart. However, just as we have not dared to judge you carelessly, we ask that you do not judge us carelessly either. Who among us do you think fears death? Boom! All 22 members of the Supreme Council step forward in unison and shout. To see the realm beyond, we are all willing to discard our lives at any moment. Stop with your strange words and show us your true strength. I look at them, feeling slightly incredulous. They call me esteemed one, but they don't treat me like how an ordinary cultivator would treat an esteemed one. To most cultivators, esteemed ones are akin to gods. Thus, when dealing with an esteemed one, they wouldn't dare to look at them directly, nor would they act in any way other than a devout follower obeying the command of their deity. But these people are different. You've raised good disciples, Master. Even if it means death, each of them possess the spirit to speak their minds to a god then die. No, it's precisely because they are such people that they became members of the Heart Tribe, reached entering heavens, and rose to this level. There's one more issue. What is it? I give them a bitter smile as I speak. I, too, am a disciple of the heaven-collapsing esteemed one. In other words, if I were to kill any of you, as a fellow disciple, I would be killing my own senior brothers and sisters. So, what does that matter? The small person race elder shouts once more with a thunderous voice. Stop with the formalities and focus on sincerity. Besides, even if we are senior brothers and sisters, discussing enlightenment between us is only natural. If you've gained enlightenment ahead of us, then help guide your slower senior brothers and sisters. The old man's words leave me momentarily speechless, and I finally respond with a complex gaze. Understood. Squirm. I control the darkness welling up within me, the murderous intent rising from my chest, and ask. So, who among you will receive this junior brother's sincere strike? As expected, the small person race elder steps forward. I shall be the one. I stare at him for a moment before speaking. Do not regret this. I will have no regrets. Then, here I come. TSTSTSTST. The speed at which our consciousnesses accelerate grows faster and faster. In an instant, the surroundings darken, and only the two of us remain in this world. Here, physical size or any bodily constraints no longer matter. What remains is simply how one counters the other's techniques. Sub-Heart Sword. From the start, I unleash my most powerful technique. To present an ambiguous move in front of someone who has shown such resolve would be an insult to my opponent. I pour everything I have into this one move. Transcending Mountain Ridge Embedment. The heart sword that emerges from my heart essence digs into his heart essence at a speed faster than recognition. A single sword that cuts away at the heart every time he recalls me. But this is not the end. The application of Transcending Mountain Ridge Embedment. Pot. Transcending Rivers Embedment. Chuan Shi Yu Shen. The mountain grows steeper the further one climbs, and the river deepens the more one crosses. A person's heart is just like this. One step inside becomes as deep as 10, the end never in sight. The sub-heart sword that cuts through the heart at the plane of soul merges with the ability of the all-heavens sword and descends to the plane of chi. In short, Kukwakek. Originally, Transcending Mountain Ridge Embedment merely cuts the heart upon perceiving me, causing pain. But now, it means that perceiving me will cut even the physical body. Kwakek. The needle he is holding snaps. But I can sense it clearly. He countered it. Though it was far from perfect, he confronted the form of Transcending Mountain Ridge Embedment. If his output had been as high as that of the heaven or earth tribes, he might have completely shattered my sub-heart sword. But that's all. In the end, one of the leaders of the Supreme Council, the old man from the small person race, died standing. I know. When I unleashed the sub-heart sword, I succeeded in perfectly controlling my emotions. However, because the small person race elder had faced me with his full power, this death was caused by the rebound of that elder's force. Rest in peace, senior brother. Senior brother. Senior brother. The leaders of the Supreme Council all pay their respects in unison towards the small person race elder. I know who he was. The highest-ranking disciple of Jang Ike's current students. The vice leader of the Heart Tribe Supreme Council. At this moment, in Jang Ike's absence, he was the acting leader of the Heart Tribe. Senior brother Gyung Chong, your noble spirit will be remembered forever. The swordsman of the small person race, Gyung Chong. On my first day of waking up in the Heart Tribe's Cedarwood Grove, I killed Jang Ike's oldest disciple. Author's note. The subtle brilliance of Foolish Old Man Moves Mountains begins with the growing volume of its content.